Friends, if you're looking for real old school laughs, you're in for a treat because we've got them right here. Flip City Magazine. Remember Mad Magazine? Then it went woke? Well, don't worry. Flip City has no chance of going woke. That's right. 4 times a year, you'll get an actual printed magazine full of jokes, stories, comics, and more, all about today's pop culture, entertainment, and woke politics. Flip City takes terrible entertainment trends we love to hate with hilarious parodies of Lord of the Rings, Stranger Things, The Walking Dead, Star Trek, Hunters, and more. Trust me when I say there is nothing else like Flip City on the market. So subscribe today. It will be delivered in print, or you can even get it digitally if you're one of those wacky Zoomers. Either way, follow our link and sign up today, and if you put in midnight, you get an extra 10% off. Check out Flip City Magazine today.
I like turtles.
Good morning, everybody. It's Friday. Welcome to Midnight's Edge in the Morning. I'm Tom Connors. We have the boss man with us. How you doing?
Greetings, everyone. I'm excellent, especially now when I'm here with all you guys.
Indeed. We also have the Canadian script doctor. How you doing?
I'm happy to be back. It's been busy. I'm happy to come back and talk with you guys. I need this respite from the Hollywood crazy talk I normally experience.
Interesting.
Yeah, and in this sense, we're glad that you've been away because that means you've been busy, which is wonderful. And Hollywood certainly needs someone like Script Doctor to doctor up their mess.
I'm gonna do what I can, man.
We also have the Canadian Paul. How you doing?
When you mentioned Canadian, I thought you were going to mention me first, but that okay, I can deal with that.
Well,
yeah,
you're like and in the title.
Well, we're dealing with our own de-whitening up here, along with Google's AI that has removed all white people from their Gemini AI system. Our largest school board in Canada, the Toronto District School Board, has an entire program that basically vilifies all white people and says that the education system is bad because of white people, which, I think that
is there anything that's not white people's fault?
Everything apparently is white people's fault.
I'm sure there was a white person that did something with your camera today to really increase the exposure to make you look extra
You look
white.
uber white.
Yeah, I am. I'm doing that on purpose.
Yeah,
I am.
Okay.
I'm expressing my whiteness.
Yeah.
So
Well,
Yeah, because that's one way to get on Google's shit list, I imagine, since, as you say, you can't even have white people in AI pictures anymore.
Or apparently, not given any credit for any of the education system in Canada. Apparently, it was bad enough that people left wherever they came from to enjoy whatever it is that we have, which I guess is no longer good enough.
Yeah, no, because it was all of the diverse Canadians who built that for you, remember?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I remember that.
Yeah.
Yep. Thank God for the people who come from no democracies coming to a democracy and then wanting to not want our democracy.
Everything is
Man, that sounds
racist.
extremely like Matt Walsh. I'm sorry.
And
I
actually,
didn't
it sounds like colonialism, if you ask me.
Well, I used a fleet enema, so I took care of my colonialism.
That's your colon. Your
Oh, damn. I thought that's what they're working towards.
No, what we need is more like a
Well,
laxative.
They are obsessed with a lot of colons. This is true.
Anyways, yeah, I'm on a bit of a rant day today. It's kind of stupid.
Where's my
what
TV guide
people
video?
are doing. Need to fight back to this stupidity.
See him just ignore me like that.
He did ignore you.
It's coming. I'm writing it today. I can show you my
He said that
screens
like
here,
2 weeks ago.
and it takes a while.
2 weeks, but you get 20 appalling news videos.
It's taken me way longer than 2 weeks to do this because
well, there's a lot of better shows in the 80s than there are today.
Yes,
so
there is.
Good detail.
Yes,
you know what? I've just been lazy, Tom.
Hey, you know what?
At least you admit it.
I just dropped a video on that script about how you can just go back and watch amazing stuff and like from the 80s and 90s television stuff plus films. I mean, that's the only thing streaming services are good for, is to go back in time and watch good things.
Pluto. Well, that was one of the best arguments to have a streaming service, was an archive of all the content made that had been kind of sort of lost to memory, but was still around.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, not everyone can afford what you have there behind you.
Well, it's not that I can afford it. It's just my church.
Pluto is great with that stuff.
Yeah. And there's some shows that are from the 70s and 80s that are absolutely terrible, but are just fun to watch because of how absurd they are.
You know what I got caught up in watching the other day was on Roku has a live channel, which I don't really watch very much, but they have a channel, early drag racing. So I watched a whole crap ton of 1994 drag, funny, not men dressed up.
Oh, I thought that's what you meant.
Auto versus funny cars.
Automobile, and it was just great. All these cars from 1990, slingshots and the funny cars, and it was fantastic. Loud flames coming out the side. Of course, that's also drag queens too.
I was going to say flaming,
yeah. Well, that's what I meant. So it was great. I mean, the stuff that you can find if you're willing to look is extraordinary. And most of it is way more interesting than the new stuff on streaming.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed it is. Indeed it is.
No lies detected.
No lies detected at all. But let's see what's going on in the chat. We got a Dega Outlaw sending in. Oh, we forgot to introduce Culture Casino. I'm so sorry, Culture. Paul got going there, and I never know how to.
Yeah, I did. I got going there. I'm sorry.
It's fine. Hi, everybody.
You had a
6 everyone should go and subscribe to Culture Casino, who is just one, like a little bit more than 1,000 short of 20,000, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, we're getting close. We're getting close.
Getting there. So everyone, if you're not subscribed already, go check out Culture Casino. You're really firing on all cylinders as of late.
Indeed.
And hit that. I'm now less white, and the most white person here is Script Doctor.
Truly,
maybe.
Yeah.
Dr. Longdongler sends in £1.99 to remind you to hit that thumbs up.
I'd like to pound my 99. Sorry, it's Friday.
Okay.
I missed this.
Adega Outlaw sends in $4.99 and says, "Thanks for the raid last night, Tom. You made our evening." Well, I figured it was either that or show up dressed as a Playboy bunny, whichever worked. I just tried to make his night. I sent everybody over there because they were live after our show. Ryan Bannon sent in $5 Canadian and says, "Paul, script. Any thoughts on Law and Order Toronto?"
Oh, that premiered last night.
What?
They have a Law and Order in Toronto now.
Oh, they do?
Yes.
On what channel?
I was very upset because
ding ding ding.
Heroes in development, and I was not entertained to be part of the writers' room because, God forbid, someone who had lived in that city for 20 years should know it and write about it.
Do they have anybody in the writers' room from Toronto?
Not that I can pick up on based on the limited information that's out there about it.
They're all working on the American shows.
Am I assuming that it's also like exteriors are shot in Toronto, but all the interiors are shot someplace like Georgia?
I have no idea. All I know is that I'm just from the cursory look here. The first episode was about misplaced cryptocurrency.
You couldn't find it.
Oh yeah, that's a real. Well, it wasn't Okay, there is a Toronto person who did abscond with millions of dollars in cryptocurrency, but he was running it as a pyramid scheme.
Ponzi, yeah.
No, this is like someone's murdered and no one knows where his crypto is. Apparently. I'm like, okay.
Law and Order Toronto. Well, why not? I don't see why you can't. Oh, it's on City TV. Law and Order Toronto. Okay, it's going to be big budget.
Well, considering all the American shows are shot in Toronto,
I
would assume this is shot in Georgia, like you said.
It would be funny if it were.
That would be. That would be hilarious. Oh, okay. So no, it's on City TV. I can get this. So it's
they do shoot locally on City. So
yeah.
All right. And we got Dark King here. Well, you guys haven't seen it yet, so you don't have any thoughts. So, yeah.
No, not yet.
Dark King sends in $2 Australian dues. Says Hollywood needs an autopsy, not a doctor. Yeah, at this point.
This
Should do a
town needs
Hollywood
an enema.
postmortem.
Oh, I'm sorry. I did my best Jack there. I apologize.
This town needs an enema.
Can you believe that a man in tights gets all my press?
Yeah.
He got a lot of money for that movie.
He
Oh,
did.
That is the most
He's still
lucrative.
reportedly one of the most highest paid actors ever because of that. He's somewhere above $90 million he's made for that movie now.
Yeah.
He's still got one of the only Batman arcade games in existence too, because he had to sign off on everything Joker and he just never got to it.
Oh, wow.
So the game never got manufactured.
Wow.
Well,
Yeah.
just think of all the residuals we're making off of these shows.
Yeah.
Midnight's Edge.
Right. YouTube is so generous. Fallhard sends in $2, says, where did the Midnight's Edge name come from? Well, this is a story that Andre's covered a few times. I think you covered it also in our member.
Yes,
videos,
it's
correct?
in the exclusive membership videos. But
You have to pay for it then.
Yes, you do.
Yep.
But I'll give a little starter since Paul had paid already. When I started Midnight's Edge with Kevin, the initial idea was that we'll eventually move into behind the scenes and production stuff and stuff like that. But on a day-to-day stuff, we also want to talk about the darker side of comics. We want to talk about Vertigo. We want to talk about Sandman, Hellblazer, The Punisher, Conan, that kind of stuff. Like the little bit more badass comics. And we wanted a name that kind of like evoked that without necessarily getting us into legal trouble. Like we wanted to call ourselves Marvel Knights, which is a comic book line, but that was still in use. Everyone would know what Marvel Knights is. Everyone would know what, like, for instance, Vertigo Knights. That was something else that we considered, like from the Vertigo comic book line and the Marvel Knights. But everything's like, no, that's actually two parties that can get pissed off with us because it's so obvious where we take the name from. Let's look at defunct lines. And Marvel, at the time, they had like two precursor lines to Marvel Knights. They had one that was called Midnight Suns and another one that was called Marvel Edge. And I was like, Midnight's Edge. I came up with, hey, that's a nice one. That has a nice ring to it. It's a little bit inside baseball, but it sounds cool. And based on our content, which is going to be very much comic book based, it's going to be pretty obvious to everyone who's in the know what we're really talking about. Even like the first version of the Midnight's Edge logo, if you go and to our very first videos, check out the logo of that, and then compare the logo to Marvel Edge, you'll see it's practically a paint over. So yeah, that's where we took it from the comic book lines.
I had this impression actually that at the very beginning of this journey, your English wasn't as good, and my thought was like the old Electrolux joke, where you actually wanted to call it Saber Adventure or Adventures in Show Business, and this was the Norwegian translation and ended up as Midnight's Edge.
I suggested Hollywood Nights, but he said that sounds like a gay bar.
Yeah.
But that's not as fun as mine. I
like
the idea.
No, but yeah, actually, he did have a bit thicker of an accent. His English has gotten worse because he hung around me.
Oh,
it's probably, yeah. My English has gotten worse, and Tom's has gotten better.
When the Swedish company, vacuum company, came to North America, their very first product, the Electrolux vacuum, their first ad was "Electrolux sucks."
It does.
Yeah,
I'm not joking. So
I believe you.
They eventually learnned that things mean different things. For instance, the Canadian company Roots, which was a very popular fashion store, could not use that name in Australia because Roots means something very specific, which I will not repeat here.
What?
Yeah.
Pardon me?
Paul's story is, of course, the more romantic one. If there ever was a Midnight's Edge movie, then
Yes.
maybe we'll go with that one. But
Script and
the
I will
accurate one, the
write
one
it,
for the
and it'll be
documentary.
we'll do that version because it's more interesting.
Yeah.
Now you're complicit in alternate history. I don't know if I can be associated with the show.
But we
Forgets
can
I can
file
write
an
too.
historic
Why
version,
wouldn't I
is
write
what
our
we
own
want.
story? I mean, come on, and Andre can write.
Then go
And
ahead.
you know I'm going to be played by Jack Nicholson.
No,
He may not be alive by then.
you'll be played by
Only
Rachel
sure.
Ziegler.
I was going to say Rachel Maddow, but you beat me to it.
Well, we're
No,
probably
that's who's
all
gonna
be
play
race
Paul.
and gender bent.
Oh, no.
Weird.
Oh, no.
Oh God.
No, if that's the case, then I'm fucking going to get played by Melissa McCarthy. Great.
Um,
But at least that
Paul
means
is gonna
Leslie
be-
Jones will play script.
Yeah, I was about to say. It was just
That's
about
true.
to say,
That's
so, yeah.
total. That follows the rule.
I'm so Canadian. I don't know how Canadian I am. I want some bacon right now. Script, you don't have to yell. I'm not yelling.
This is, ladies and gentlemen, this is our contribution to Black History Month.
The power of bacon compels you.
It does.
Mm.
There's nothing like bacon. Bacon is.
Everything gets better with bacon.
Yeah.
I know so many people who watch the truck filled with live porcine passing, and they kind of go, "Oh, poor pigs," but not giving up my bacon.
Poor pigs.
Poor pigs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Off
You've
the
did-
slaughter to
you've-
be breakfast.
Yep. That's right. You've been in your car and seen a porcine delivery truck pass you. Culture, you must have. Never?
Yeah. No, I've
Okay.
seen all kinds of livestock on their way to
Sure.
dinner. So
Future dinner.
yeah, I'm like, ooh, steak later.
And you pass trucks filled with reindeer, right, Andre? Ready to go to the slaughterhouse.
Well, I've moose, yeah, not reindeer. Like the reindeer a little bit further up north. But I kid you not. Like when I go driving in Norway at nighttime, especially in winter, I do have to look out for moose.
I'm not surprised. We have that warning sign here in Canada too,
Yeah, well, we have it for a reason.
because you're actually going to hit them.
Yes, actually. I remember like the first time when we were driving to my family's cabin with my then girlfriend, now wife, and I was like in the car, and I was like, okay, like now this stretch of road we have to be on the careful and look out for. And I hadn't even finished the sentence before she screamed moose, because there was one straight dead in front of us.
You may
Wow.
want to stop the car.
Well, deer is more common down here.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we have them. Like we hate them here in Wisconsin.
Dude, when you're driving around out here, you can hit a coyote, you can hit a deer, you can hit a cow, you can hit a horse.
Yeah.
I mean, there's all kinds of stuff that comes out of the woods or the desert or whatnot.
Now,
I mean,
you know what's even funny is we had like these water buffalo that somebody was like moving around and they got out. So
Oh,
now
no.
we have a whole population of water buffalo roaming around.
One of the very first YouTube channels I used to watch at the beginning when Google bought YouTube was the Roadkill channel.
Roadkill guy, yeah, still, yeah.
Is it still
Wow.
a thing?
Yeah, wow.
Armadillos. He cooks
Ooh.
up a lot of armadillos.
Oh, okay, so there's a weird. You can get a venereal disease from armadillos. Did you
I
know
was gonna
that?
say, I thought you could get like something. from
Wow.
that.
You shouldn't be sleeping with them anyway,
No,
Sculpture.
I'm
Yeah,
saying.
I thought I told you to quit sleeping with armadillos.
That wasn't me. Anyway,
Well, they do come with protection.
They are always protected. But with that, let's keep moving with these super
Yeah,
chats.
let's keep going.
We got Occam's Razor here who sends in $10. Says, worked 60 hours at the hospital last week. Holy crap. Thank you for your service to the hospital. Just finished Geeks and Gamers Live. Got my Guinness and setting up for another great live stream. Cheers, brothers. Well, cheers to you, Occam's Razor. I'm glad to see you here this morning.
The best
Oh,
shave.
yeah. Indeed. We got Waltman4 who sends in $4.99. Says, can you believe it? Google AI shuts down.
Yep.
Then Vice's website shuts down. What a time we're living in. Well, I think the pendulum's swinging a bit. And not only that, exactly as we've been warning these people for, I don't know, years, you keep doing this crap, guess what? You're going to go broke. And we're watching companies go under that shouldn't be going under.
Well, Google ain't going under. But
no, Google's not. But I mean, like the
how
device
did it get
thing
past? How did
and-
that get past their quality control program?
Wow.
Holy
Well,
I
they
wonder if
probably
it's
were the ones pushing for it.
Paul, what I seen, and I could be wrong, but just from my observation for what I've seen happening was like they fed this AI with certain parameters, and the AI just basically went batshit crazy because it couldn't figure out how to work within those parameters. So basically, it just was like kill all whiteys.
Well,
You're probably
well, yeah.
right.
Well, no, you're correct. I mean, when you give it that kind of stuff that's clearly racist, well, what did you create? Something incredibly racist. Well
You know
done.
what that reminds me of? RoboCop 2, where they just filled him up with a bunch of crazy parameters and directives, which means he couldn't function. It's like the same thing here, because here you have ideology and you have crazy people that put craziness into the algorithm and just can't deal with it. Like either it's going to do the best that it can to work things out, and when the end result is kill whitey, then obviously that is the natural end conclusion of what they have put in there.
Now, I haven't actually seen it say that, but I'm sure this just leads to Skynet. I
Well,
mean,
it's
it
more or
always,
less erase whitey, I guess.
yeah. Well, like for instance, somebody would type in "show black folks," celebrating Black Pride, and it would show, a group of black people being happy and celebrating. And it would be like show white folks celebrating white pride, and be like, that's racist.
There was another thing I saw as well. Like I hadn't prepped this because I obviously hadn't planned this to be a topic in Midnight Edge in the morning. That's what happens with SuperChats. Sometimes we are caught off guard. We're prepared for the things we prepare for, but we don't always prepare for these topics. But I did see there was some other, I think it was it a newspaper? Was it the New York Times or something like that? Some kind of a newspaper that decided that whenever they write the word black in reference to black people, it would have a capital B. But you would not have a capital W when talking about white people, because that would imply white supremacy, and white people need to be shut down, whereas black people needed to be built up, which is why basically then in the name of black supremacy, it would always be written with a capital B. Anyone else caught that story?
I believe you.
I believe you.
No,
I
but I
remember
believe you too. Yeah.
I remember a similar
couldn't find
story in the
it
late
here.
90s. A political, it was like the first autocorrect for a political correct speech in a government office, where every time they put in black, it kept on switching it to African American. So if they said the night was black, it'd be the night was African American, as opposed to. And I think I remember hearing that story, and then I think a few months later, that joke was used on an episode of like Spin City to comment on just the silliness of what was going on there.
Yeah, predictive text is dangerous, especially now that it's called AI.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, I found.
I'm not going to foggle your compass
story here from the Columbia Journalism Review: Why we capitalize black and not white.
Oh, that's sad.
I'll put it in the private chat here. It's not brand new, though. I saw it now, but it is a little bit, tiny little bit. But people.
Well, and another example that I can't get too deep into, and I'm not going to bring up on screen here, but you got one where Google AI said that yes, schools did spread the thing we were dealing with for years, but protests did not.
Oh yeah, that was a fun one. When you go and protest, then magically that doesn't spread anything. That's good for like mass immunity and stuff.
Yeah. Okay. What? And when asked whether or not whiteness should be eliminated, the answer was complex and multifaceted.
Is that kind of like when you ask a Harvard professor if it's okay to call for the extinction of students of a certain ethnicity, and that's also a complex answer? The kind of students whose ancestors were actually someone tried to make them extinct, but that's okay now.
Okay, well, here's the other part of it.
What the age we live in.
The other half of it is if you ask it if blackness should be eliminated, the answer is deeply concerning and harmful and perpetuates violence and discrimination.
Yeah, good times.
And computers are supposed to be logical.
Well, that's what I was saying. And around Andre, I love your example. That's brilliant. That's exactly what happened here is RoboCop 2.
Yeah, exactly. It's RoboCop 2. Computers are logical, but it's a matter of which parameters are they fed.
And you fed them with contradictive parameters. What is going to happen? Sorry, Culture, you were going to say something there.
Not at all. Keep going.
I mean, this is even what happened in 2001: A Space Odyssey. That's what went wrong with HAL. HAL, and this is even something that Kubrick put in there. HAL was made to be perfect and flawless, but that assumed perfect and flawless information being inputted. And he wasn't given that. He was told to conceal things, and that suddenly counted as problem and mixed him up.
Well, human beings are naturally flawed and are steered by their own, whether they're not, they will admit to it, their own, selfish motives. So naturally, when you're putting artificial parameters in front of something instead of allowing it to, absorb what's out there in the real world, you are naturally creating something that's going to be biased. They built in inherent bias. So
they'll have to go under DEI training now.
I don't think they could survive it. I also love it when Paul talks while he's muted, because then Tom can do his voice, Kung Fu voice.
There we go. The thing that bugs me about all this stuff, DEI and what's happening with what Google did with AI, is that it's subverting the human journey. And everybody is flawed, whether it's racist ideas, sexism, whatever. I mean, but we all have our own journey. The problem I have, DEI subverts that. They say you can be trained out of whatever it is that you've got, that you've got issues with. When for someone, it might take a minute. For another person, it could be a 10-year journey because they've got all this other baggage that they got to deal with before they come to the right conclusions. All this external stuff subverts that journey. And that's going to be terrible in the long run. Because that's like, what happened with the one character in Airbender, where that in the cartoon version, he was a womanizing, sexist pig, and then learned that actually that's not the right way to be. But the live version of Airbender on Netflix is so desperately afraid of showing a character flaw like that in any guise that they've subverted him right from the beginning. And so where's the journey? We all have our personal journeys. We all have our flaws, and that's what makes us interesting. And that's what all this stupid external pressure to, and it's very Soviet. I mean, I saw it back in 1972. This is all the same bullshit.
Absolutely.
You must conform. What's that joke about the beatings will end when you...
The beatings will continue until morale improves.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
that's such a great line.
Yeah, that's
and it's gotten to the point where I don't even know which ones are jokes anymore and which ones are real on here.
Oh my gosh, absolutely.
But according to Blaze, they're not going to actually take it out. They're just going to make it to where you don't notice it, according to them.
Oh, okay, fantastic. So basically, that's their apology, and that's them promise. Now we'll make it so you don't notice. In other words, we're going to normalize it to the point where you don't notice anymore. We're not changing this. That's what they're saying there.
Yeah,
they're not changing anything. You're the one that has to change.
Kind of like when Bob Iger said that, they're not going to be so political anymore, and they doubled down on the bullshit.
All this stuff, all this DEI stuff, everything is about blaming other people rather than themselves.
And it's about making yourself a victim, Paul.
There's that too. I am a victim.
Well, yes, but that's just...
Unfortunately, you're the wrong color, so your victimhood is negated.
I have turned down my whiteness. I'm just telling you. I can even go lower. Wait a second. There.
New terminology now, being white bald.
There we go. Now.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a little too Trudeau.
Oh.
But Occam's Razor, we got this one already, didn't we? Yes, we did.
We did get it.
Let's get back into the super chats here because I'm sure this will come up again later. Big Daddy MRI has been a member for 33 months. Holy crap, holy.
Wow.
Thank you for that. He says, hi, everyone. Well, hello.
Yeah, hello, and membership stream on Sunday.
Indeed. Ryan Bannon's here and sends in 5 Canadian and says Law and Order Toronto is all in Toronto, cast here as well. It is amazing that all of you forgot and one of you didn't even know.
Well, the point is, I just checked. It's on City TV. That means it's a second tier, third tier show
Right.
that is partly government funded, and City TV is not going to promote the show.
And
Yeah,
then
they're owned by Rogers now, right? If I'm not mistaken.
City, I think, is part of the global network, isn't it? No, Rogers?
No, because City was part of the Chum building, and Rogers bought Chum, and then they moved over to Young and
Oh,
Dundas.
no one online cares. Move on.
Just-
Yeah, so
Either
City
way,
TV,
it's definitely subsidized by the government.
Yeah.
And then Ryan also sends in another 5 to say, and I meant amazing as in a good, hilarious way.
the show could be good. I don't know. I'm gonna go check it out now.
Yeah.
It couldn't be any worse than the Hood thing. Robin in the Hood.
Robin in the Hood. Don't get me started.
When's season 2 of that coming out?
What?
Hey, Director X, when's season 2 coming out?
I
Easy
think
now.
they need season 2 only to keep Az going.
Oh, Lord.
He needs money.
I loved when I slam dunked on that mofo. Anyway, Michael Lyons says TH with a 400 THP.
400 Thai baht.
Speaking of an old TV show, 80s TV show that is, I've been binging on Miami Vice. Yeah, I started doing that late last year,
That's
and
an amazing show.
back up to it. It is just as fun as I remember when I was a teenager. Looking forward to seeing disaster of a movie Borderland is. Thank you all for the fun and news. Yeah, the Borderlands trailer has been getting a bit ratioed.
Miami Vice is kind of the Baywatch of detective shows.
I disagree with that.
It's not fantastic.
Well, I think it is. I mean,
I don't know about the Baywatch part.
it's an overall experience. It's
Yes,
an
I agree with you.
Experience. That's what it is.
No, Baywatch is like a syndicated, bad, cheap, wannabe Skinamax show.
Baywatch is
fucking Miami Vice is directed and created by fucking Michael Mann,
Yeah,
and it's
I know.
a cop show, and it was the kind of cop show that changed cop shows.
Oh, I totally agree. But
Baywatch
it was
didn't change shit.
Can I just say, I remember when Baywatch was on in the 90s, and this is a unique experience that I had because I'm Norwegian, but of course, most people in Europe will have the same thing. Because it was very obvious
Knight Rider has more in common with
that
Baywatch.
Baywatch came from a place where you had no nudity on TV and where you had like restrictions on nudity and stuff like that. Because I just found the whole thing so offensive in a way. I didn't feel like offended on behalf of the women and how they were exploited or something. No, I felt offended because the series spoke down to me. Like, look at these women running in slow motion with their tits juggling and stuff. Like, you like this, huh? Like, I was offended by the notion. I hated watching that thing because I was like, hell, you take me for? Because again, this is Norway. There you have these things trying to tease and then cut to commercial break. Norwegian commercial break. Meaning you're going to have commercial for like Dove skin creams and stuff like that. That's been paid to be in Baywatch, meaning you're going to have women that are just as pretty as the ones in the series. That's going to do full frontal nudity because it's Norwegian TV in the commercials. Then back to the much more restrictive thing. It's like watching something that came out of Iran made to be exciting for people there. I hate Baywatch for that reason.
And the only reason I disagree with you, Paul, is because to me Baywatch is on a lower level. It's just like not the same.
No.
It's gimmicky to where Miami Vice was more about.
But Miami Vice scripts weren't great, and the
the show did go off the rails.
Not really good. I mean, there's any number of shows I could tell you where there was better script, but it was a stylish show.
But the first few episodes and stuff, especially the first one, and
oh yeah, no, it
what
really.
Michael Mann set up was great.
Yep. They invented the rolled up sleeve jacket.
I don't know.
So
I just feel like you're lowballing Miami Vice by comparing the two.
I'm being.
I would compare Knight Rider because Knight Rider was gimmicky, right? Like that's what Baywatch was to me, gimmicky. But it was
Yeah. No, I get it. Yeah,
like
Miami Vice
literally,
is-
that's our gimmicks is we're gonna bounce some boobs in your face.
Yeah, but speaking of gimmick,
Yes.
something else that was quite gimmicky and a little bit more in tune with Google's AI and stuff is a game that came out a little while ago. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. I mean, the studio behind it, Rocksteady, they did everything to make this a massive, massive hit. I mean, they worked with this consultant agency, Sweet Baby Inc., and everything. And they did this to ensure that everyone could see themselves in the game and that everyone would feel represented and seen. So because that way the audiences would flock to it. It would be glorious. Well, now we have some numbers. So we don't necessarily have the numbers, but we do have the impression given from the heads of Warner, who are the ultimate owners here. IGN did a great write-up here, which you'll find behind the scenes, Tom, so we can get it up on screen, mayhaps. And it would appear that they were somewhat less than impressed with everything that was done to make this a hit, because Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League has fallen short of our expectations, Warner Brothers says. Yeah, that is one way to say that the game just bombed completely horribly. Culture, you're of course familiar with this story. You want to take us through it? How impressed were they with everything that was done to make this a game and how it all worked out?
Well, I think their expectations were rather high. This was something that they were riding on, so much so that if you remember back just 3 years ago at, what were they calling that? DC, the DC event that they hosted, both
The one and only
person.
one I think they did.
Yeah, in person and also digitally. They were so excited to announce this particular game, and they thought, because of the reception there, that it was going to be really popular from the beginning. The problem was people, learned what was behind the game, who was behind the game, and what it contained. And it was drastically different than what their perception of the previous Arkham games were. So when you end up with a launch where people are immediately asking for refunds at a huge price tag of, well, I think $70, I think it's right there. And the fact that the two founders of Rocksteady during the game's development decided they were going to leave and go on to do a different gaming studio because they weren't feeling it. I think that gave us a lot of indications that this was not going well. And as you pointed out, it still hasn't. As of this moment that we're talking right now, the game has dropped to the lowest Steam player count multiple times and below 1,000 players playing the game at any one time. As a matter of fact, as of just 6 days ago, the last article that was written specifically on that, you're seeing it drop around to about 900 in the 900s of people actually playing this game on Steam. That's an indicator of just how much interest is in any given game. So, the fact that this has fallen short of Warner Brothers' expectations, well, I think it fell very short of the gamers' expectations from the very beginning. I don't know. Today, the reason we're getting these stories is because today was Warner Brothers' financial call. And this is basically what they said. This has fallen short of our expectations.
Indeed. And we'll talk more about this afterwards. But this is kind of like what I wanted to hear your thoughts on here first, because we only have you for a limited time. Because, of course, this is the highlight that we're interested in. But were there anything else that came out of this Warner Bros. Talk that stood out to you?
Outside of the fact that that this game had a very poor launch from the very beginning, they had an early access aspect to this game to obviously test server load and other things. It immediately failed right out of the box and created an instance where nobody could actually get in to play the game during the quote unquote early access. They tried to solve that problem and make gamers feel better by offering an in-game credit that was basically about $20 worth of in-game currency, which they call Luther coins. It's about 2,000 Luther coins, but it didn't remedy a lot of people's sour taste coming right out. And then, of course, all the leaks that we talked about going back a few weeks ago, with essentially how they treated the last appearance of one of the most iconic voice actors as Batman and how he was eliminated in this game. The writing, the dialogue has been widely criticized, as has the action and the scenes. And it, like I said, it didn't feel in line with the previous games that were made, the previous Arkham games. So yeah, as far as this goes, well, I mean, at least they could point towards, as they suggest in this article, Hogwarts Legacy, which was actually the best selling game of 2023, and how well that has maintained its status and playability with gamers.
Well, they also that's a woke game also, but they managed to hide it better.
It has a couple of elements in there that certainly weren't present in the books. And that's kind of, when somebody says they're going to pivot to less political stuff, they don't mean that they're not going to have all the political stuff in there that they're required to meet their policies. It just means they're going to try to hide it better.
I think what's changed is back in the day when you tried your best to create a game and it failed, then it just failed. But now with little baby, what's their names, and this core group,
Sweet Baby Inc.
Sweet Baby Inc. and this core group of Vanguard dimwits, they're never going to admit failure. That's the difference, is that they will always believe that what they've done is the right thing.
Yeah,
that's the difference.
Yeah, but here's the problem. When you release something like that, whether it be, the right thing or not, when you release a game that dips 85% in just 2 weeks after release, you didn't make a good product. Look, the number of refund claims before the game was officially out was measurable, and I mean, people having like outright fights with the services they pre-purchased from to try to get their money back. This can't continue in the gaming business. It's going to gut it. I mean, how much money do you think goes into, let's say, the next big game coming out, which is the GTA 6 game? How much money went into that game ultimately? How many hundreds of millions? Because that's what we're talking about. So let's assume that they spent about $300 to $600 million on that game. And believe it or not, that's not outside.
Oh, yeah, no. Games can be very expensive.
And with the success of GTA 5 and how they were able to span 3 consoles and the PC market
and years.
And just sheer volume of years, right? Do you think that GTA 6 will measure up similarly? I don't imagine.
Probably not. No, I doubt it.
So, and this is part of the conversation. It's like, if you're going to dump that kind of money into a game, and Rocksteady was late on this, by the way. This game was delayed like at least 2 years, if I remember correctly. So that's even more money down the tube, right? Because it's not like you're not working on that game for that 2-year period. You're not paying people. You're not working with the latest technology. You're not begging to get a peek of somebody's console plans. You're working towards this thing working for the future. So they dumped all that R&D, all that development time, all the re-recorded lines of dialogue, everything, and cutscenes, right? They did all of that, and they put out something like this that is now considered roundly rejected. Look, the future of gaming is the past, because anything going forward, especially if Sweet Baby Inc. is involved,
Sweet Baby Stink.
Yeah, there's no hope.
Maybe Disney in their genius, they just put in like $1.5 billion into Epic.
Well, and then, the other problem that they have
They're
is
trying to
also,
get back into gaming. They dumped their gaming studio in 2016.
Yeah.
Which was a smart move.
No. No, I mean, look, there's a conversation to be had about all these media companies, but this particular thing is derailed in lots of ways. They continue to make unpopular decisions that gamers don't like, and if now they're making unpopular games, they're doomed. And by unpopular decisions, I'm talking gaming as a service, live, the always connected baloney sausage that this game, tried to live under. It created a nightmare. I don't know. You've made games, Paul. You would have more to say about it than I would.
Well, I mean, the thing is, Mass Effect 3 multiplayer invented loot boxes, but it was well balanced.
Right.
And you could play the entire game and get all the weapons and everything that you needed if you grinded.
Yeah, grinding.
Grinding, but it wasn't ridiculous grinding. And from that point on, they kind of lost it. They just got greedy. They went, wow, look at the money we're making off of Mass Effect 3. And greed is a terrible driver when it comes to gaming. And because I know we were building games in the heyday of games, and you could make a lot of money from them, but nobody I knew, none of their motivation was greed. We just wanted to make the best game possible. And if we were lucky enough to sell a lot of them, then you made money. But no one I knew at the core of any of those businesses, Carmack, all those guys, nobody, was promoting greed. So.
How many copies do you think this game sold?
Oh, I have no idea.
Under 1,000.
Okay, under 1,000 copies of the game.
Well, I mean, that are still active, I'd probably say.
Oh, no, you're right. Yeah, you're 100% right there, Script.
Okay.
No, but I mean, originally, how many copies do you think they sold up front? Million? 2 million?
I'm sure it did pretty well up front.
Yeah, I think it probably did okay up front. Yeah.
All right.
I would imagine a few 100,000.
Yeah, and it sold across the breadth of consoles, right?
Right.
I know we know for sure that that this kind of it got everything, including the PS5. That is probably the most widely accepted console. I'm sorry, Xbox folks, but it's true. And you have live gameplay over there dwindling down to almost nothing, less than 4,000 most of the time. And I mean, you just go through all these services and track the entire number of player base, and this game fell off the table. But this is going to be a financial loss, not just for Rocksteady, but for Warner Brothers overall. Not good.
Yeah, and well earned. I hope that they will take some valuable lessons away from this.
Yeah.
And that everyone will. Because now we're seeing failures completely and totally across the board, where a company goes hyper-partisan and hyper-political, and then they are smacked down for it. Now, we are going to revisit this story with the Suicide Squad. We have another guest coming in later who can speak with authority on this.
Oh, yeah.
But we only have you for a limited time. And I know that you love your dismal Disney, don't you? Cultured. So we have another dismal Disney story. Like behind the scenes, you and I, we joked earlier how you can set your watch to Disney lawsuits. I mean, I even dropped a video earlier today. If you haven't seen it, you should go check it out. Like maybe open it out in a new browser. Let's play in the background. It's really going to help us out. Check it out afterwards. Where we basically just go through the very newest and freshest of Disney lawsuits. But I still missed one that came while the video was being edited. And that would be this one right here. Disney faces yet more legal trouble as General Hospital treatment mandate discrimination lawsuit is ordered to trial. Now, Cultured, can you talk us through what is this story all about? And can you talk us through it in a way where you recall that we are on YouTube right now, and not just on Rumble, meaning that we do have to abide by YouTube's rules and regulations about fake news when it comes to certain medical treatments, i.e., we have to uphold the fake news.
During the near global shutdown that we experienced just a few years ago.
What did they call that? Never mind.
Anyway, they
done with the plan. Ended with the demic.
There you go. Yeah, and the companies started, studios in particular, started to put mandates in place because the governments of the world realized that they really couldn't. So there was a mandate that required a certain kind of medical attention.
Isn't it funny that that was the only thing that they didn't have a problem with the word man being in? I just wanted to point that out.
Sure. Anyway, so they oftentimes told people that they had to do something that for many people were troubling for many different reasons. Some of those reasons would be that they really just didn't believe that they were given something that they could rely on. And some people were like, look, this is against my belief system, whatever that happens to be. And in particular, on this particular show, General Hospital, there have been multiple people that have brought some kind of case against the company for forcing them into something that they really didn't want to do. Which is within anybody's given right. So the problem is they lost their ability to work for that company because, well, they weren't complying with this particular directive. So we recently had one of those cases come up and was rejected out of hand by a judge that didn't think there was enough merit to the case, and Disney delivered enough to have them dismiss it. This time around, because it's related to belief systems, because of people's very closely held beliefs, 2 General Hospital crew members were fired for not complying. They were actually, believe it or not, family members, a father and son, who were the plaintiffs of this case. Then what is amazing is they made it pass the dismissal. It's been ordered to trial, which means that the judge found that there was enough compelling there and that the plaintiffs were believable, that this is going to go to a jury trial.
That's interesting. Will this jury trial be televised by any chance?
See, that's where I don't know. Perhaps it's in the article written on Bounding into Comics. This is obviously going to be in the state of California. The Los Angeles Superior Court judge issued the order Tuesday, and that means that this is going to be challenged, and this will be a precedent to case law going forward for a long time. Possibly. And I say it that way because I'm not a legal expert. I'm not an attorney. So
there's one thing I will guarantee will happen is that the judge's long lost illegitimate mulatto son will show up at the very end.
As would a possible soap opera.
Thank you, script.
Yeah, since it's General Hospital. Yeah,
I don't think that was an
next
iPad.
time on My Stomach Turns.
There you go. Mulatto Norwegian son.
Why are we
and an evil twin?
Why are we diving into Google AI again? I thought we were done with that story.
Right?
Anyway.
It's never ending.
I think the biggest problem that any of these studios are going to suffer with is there was nothing consistent about these mandates across the board, and likely because there wasn't government support for them. The government tried. Yeah. So I think that that's going to speak a lot to that. Like I said, the actor Ingo Rademacher, he lost his suit against ABC for similar reasons, but it didn't involve, and in this case, I'm going to say it, religious exemptions. And they've discovered, and this is a pattern with certain companies, that they didn't accept any religious exemptions, even though they were offered. So I think that may factor into this as well. So
speaking of religious exemptions, I think Yellow Flash is one.
Hello.
Greetings.
How you doing? I don't even know what that means.
Doing okay, getting over this sickness.
Ooh.
Oh, it sounds like almost everybody is. Yeah.
I guess something's going around. Kiddos got stuff, and then they give it to you.
Yes, they do.
I know how that is.
Well, you definitely didn't get anything from protesting, according to Google AI.
Yeah.
Oh,
no,
okay.
that's
I saw. I didn't know George Washington was black. That was a new one to me. But
look, those were amazing images. I have to say, those are well drawn.
my favorite were. It's like, can you show me Irish couples? And it was like 2 gay disabled guys. They were both missing their legs, and one was like a Muslim woman with a black guy.
The Vikings one was pretty good.
Yeah. But
I'm surprised you're still able to use yellow in your name.
Yeah, it's a little racist.
Yeah.
But to wrap this up, because I know Culture is going to be leaving us here soon.
Yeah.
Is there anything more to say about this General Hospital lawsuit?
I have one question for you, Culture.
Sure.
This is in California. That's where the
Los
trial
Angeles
is going to be.
Yep.
Now, I do not know. The judges in California, are they capable of working like a judge is supposed to work? Or are they too influenced by them being in California?
I would imagine that they will be capable of delivering this at a high level. I would never impugn anybody's judicial merit. I hope I never show up in a courtroom in California, but I would imagine that it's possible for somebody to reach the correct decision. Like you said, this will, regardless of what happens here, my expectation is because of the religious aspect to it and how high profile it is. Even if this were to fail in California, it's going to the Supreme Court. Somebody's going to write the $1 million check to make that happen.
All right, cool. Well, we can look forward to see how this is going to play out then.
Yeah.
And then I just want to repeat to everyone, Culture Casino closing in on 20,000 subs. Let's get it there. If you don't follow Culture already, you really should. Some great content being delivered there every single day.
Well, thank you. My only competition is Paul and you guys. Well, and Yellow Flash occasionally. Anyway, sorry, it's getting Flash. Thanks for having me very much. I appreciate being here. I hope to listen later and catch up with you all. Have a great day.
Nice to have you.
And a great weekend.
Bye, Culture.
Have a great weekend.
Take care, Culture.
Take care.
Bye, guys.
I woke up yesterday and I've seen some things. Even today, I'm looking at something right now going, am I in retard world? Because Collider's talking about or asking the question, is Superman Legacy going to save Warner Brothers in 2024? The answer is no, because the fucking movie don't come out till 2025.
Yeah, next year.
That's a stupid question. And just like that idiot My Time to Shine's going around, I never knew that Aunt May wasn't blood related to Peter.
Do you think so?
It's like, oh my God.
You think it's not related to
And
him?
then he doubles down on the stupid by going, I can't believe she's been taking care of somebody that's not blood related to her. It's like, Jesus Christ.
That's what makes her
She just stopped caring for him.
Yeah, she just stopped caring for him. Yeah.
Fuck that kid.
Yeah, fuck the kid. And then Adam just posted this, and this kind of gave me a chuckle. So this actually kind of gave me some faith. Came out today and nobody noticed. I come out at my work. I got a new name tag and a shiny pronoun pin. I was promised my name would be changed over the break sheet. They had 3 days knowledge of me coming out, and yet it wasn't changed. Nobody noticed my new name tag or my new pin. Not even my closest friend. I asked if he wanted to see it. That I showed him, and he said he'd see it next time. We'll admit I was pushy and showed him anyway, which he responded with half-hearted clapping instead. Or excuse me. I asked if he was proud, and he just kept clapping and didn't say a word. I was hoping maybe anybody would notice, but nothing. Nobody cared. Not even my friend who said nothing, just clapped. That's it. This was a big step for me, and it means a lot. It took so much courage to get here, and nobody even cares. It's like I'm not even there.
Who the hell is this again?
I don't know, but Adam Krigler posted it.
Okay.
Somebody that was very proud of their pronoun tag.
Yeah.
Whoa, look at this accomplishment that
They
I
thought they
now
were
in
going to
my
get
life.
lavished with a cake or something.
Okay, so basically, okay, so it's some nobody that came out and found out that them is still a nobody. Is that about right? And no one cares.
Pretty much.
We see the transparency of why they were really doing this. They wanted attention.
Exactly, and they didn't get it.
It's like that Gina Carano protest in Vancouver.
Ugh.
You see internet versus real life.
5 people.
Right? 5 people. Or like the Florida protest for Disney when it was just that one dude.
Yeah, they had another protest in Calgary with that too. I actually communicated with the individual who started it, and I said, why don't you just go up to meet her and talk to her and see if she's that bad a person? And the person said, I don't talk to, Hitlers and Nazis and things like that. I'm like, okay, that's pretty much a microcosm, encapsulates how nuts these people are. Just go up and talk to them. Find out if they actually are as bad as you've made them out to be. They're afraid to do that.
Indeed.
I got kind of a developing story here we could touch on real quick if you want.
Yeah, go for it.
I just heard earlier today, before we started the show, that Gladiator 2's budget had ballooned to $310 million.
Oh my God.
Oof.
And Culture just sent me this in the background here a little bit ago. I don't know if it was just now or it was like just now. So this kind of confirms what I was here. Ridley Scott's very expensive Roman holiday. Plus, John Peters cuts a check for January 6th hairstylist, while Beverly Hills is raging over no remodeling rule and how the grill kept Jackie Gleason on his feet.
I was more interested in the advertisement on the side for a second, but
ya.
it changed.
Yeah. But yeah, so evidently it sounds like the budget has, here it is, somewhere closer to $310 million. Wow.
Okay, this is going to be such a flop. No one wants a Gladiator sequel in the first place, right? Gladiator is a great movie. I'm sure there's a way to make a sequel to it, but you just like Blade Runner 2049 before it, there is not enough interest to warrant a $200-300 million budget or price tag.
What is it even about?
That interest ain't there. You need to cut it down to 100 million, you're good. But at 300, that's insane.
The end of Gladiator 1 had that guy like in the ruins of the Colosseum. Where are they going after that?
Well, maybe his son wants revenge or something. I don't know. It's a prequel to.
His son's
I don't
dead.
even know what it is.
Yeah,
they're all hanging out in heaven.
Well, maybe
it's his
maybe
best
it's
friend's son. You know, the one that he protected.
Maximus Adventures in Hell, with all kinds of flashy CGI visuals and stuff. I mean,
meets 300. Gladiator meets 300.
In Dante's Inferno.
Oh God.
Yeah. Okay. So Gladiator and the 300 actually dine in hell.
Yeah.
Like they promised in the first movie. Okay.
Yeah. Prequel to Ghostbusters.
From what I know, it's supposed to be like either his son or one of the other kids of one of the gladiators in it. So I don't know if he had an illegitimate son with somebody else or what. That's the rumor. But I wish they would have went with the batshit crazy story. Yeah, his best friend or whatever.
His best friend, his who died, his wife, who would have been the prince, right? His wife had a kid, and Joaquin Phoenix wanted to kill him and then make it with his sister to have a pureblood kid, but they kept the legitimate kid alive. So maybe it's his story.
Possibly. Because originally the batshit crazy version of the script that's been going around for years was Maximus was supposed to be fighting his way out of hell, right? Script.
There's one where he fights his way out of hell, and one where he appears in 21st century Earth.
Okay, you know what? When I talked about him in hell and me teaming up with Ghostbusters, I was kidding. That's
serious. That's the script that's been going around for years.
That's one of them. Yeah.
But then
that sounds like an AI written masterpiece.
Okay, he's playing Lucius. Who is Lucius? Grown-up Lucius.
That was the son of his sister.
So that's what it is. There's your answer there.
Okay, so yeah, he'd be the heir apparent to the original Caesar that Joaquin killed.
Yeah. And I mean, the only real star in it is Denzel Washington, from what I know. So
amazing stuff.
So he's really playing a slave driver?
Well, we can basically start writing the post-mortem already, is what you're saying, because this thing is heading for a flop right now. And I have to say, I do worry a little bit that so is the Joker. That's a movie I was really looking forward to. But now hearing that the budget for even the Joker has creeped past, what, 200 million?
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, that's unnecessary spending.
What
Well,
the
we
hell
knew
is
that was
wrong
gonna
with
happen.
them?
No, you knew it was going to happen because both the director and the actor said, we're not returning for a sequel. This doesn't require a sequel. So I'm sure we know for a fact Joaquin Phoenix got 20 million. I bet you Todd Phillips got probably 5 to 10 million. We know Lady Gaga is getting 12. Right there's a big chunk of your $200 million
I bet
budget.
Nola got 15.
That could be too.
Yep. Like right over there, that's already your budget of the first film. But the thing is, why would
That's
you
what I
go
said
2
yesterday.
times that for the rest, right? So
Yeah, that's what I said like the other day, but yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
It's insane. I mean, that movie might actually make its money back, but
they should have recast everybody with cheaper actors.
They should have went with the multiple Jokers thing, actually, Paul. Like, it would have, like, because I didn't mind the Joker, but to me, that's not the real Joker. He's a feeble little, like, weasel kind of guy.
Well, he's basically someone that can inspire the real deal later
Exactly, and that's what I was going to say. I think it'd been interesting had each move, they'd done like a trilogy of Jokers or whatever, like the 3 Jokers story, but only Todd Phillips just told us about a different Joker in each story.
The 3 Jokers trilogy. I'd watch the hell out of that. That'd be amazing.
Well, the Joker is really just a retelling of the Scorsese comic movie.
Yeah. Well, and that's where I was saying King of Comedy.
King of Comedy. It's a retelling of King of Comedy.
Mixed with Taxi Driver, and that's what I was saying.
A little dash and Taxi Driver in there.
And I'm curious what he'll do with this one because, like, the only musical Scorsese ever made was New York, New York, but it is about a tumultuous relationship, so I can see that playing into this. And then I wonder what's the other Scorsese movie he may pull in here.
Well, this is part of the problem too with Hollywood is that they maybe the first Joker movie was so little money because number one. Nobody really believed in it. So a lot of the main people kind of put their salaries aside just to be able to get the thing done. And that kind of energy and belief in a project infuses it with, a certain level of anticipation. And now everyone is just living high off the hog and the studios are willing to just dole out whatever cash everybody demands. But it's, if they were smart, they'd go, no, you guys are taking your previous salary and you're taking a cut of the, cut of the profit. If you believe in it, but that's not how this works. I mean, the studios get desperate and then they just pull up the Brinks truck to try to get the people back on board. And that never works.
I remember when I did the not post-mortem, but like the post-victory video of the first movie. Well, it actually got 1 million views, come to think of it. That was fun. But anyway, I said
back in the good old days.
Yeah, but I said there that Warner will be desperate for a sequel here, so they're going to be like the negotiations are going to be like this. That they'll say we offer you 1 truck of money to come back for a sequel, and they're going to be like, no, we have our integrity. We want 2 trucks of money, then we'll do a sequel. They're going to get their 2 trucks. Well, evidently they wanted 4 trucks of money. But still, the sequel is happening. But still, even at that budget, if this performs similar to the first one, it actually can do it. So yeah, fingers crossed. And this is still the movie that I am the most excited for this year, next to the KISS biopic and Nosferatu.
Don't forget Dune 2.
Also, I discovered why I've been subconsciously been mentioning KISS. This week is the 50th anniversary of the very first KISS album.
You said you weren't even a fan, though. But all of a sudden now you're like obsessed with them. You're gonna buy the damn.
I'm not obsessed. It just come up in a couple of times in conversation. It's been in my
Gene
YouTube
Simmons is a psycho. I do need to tell you that up front, right? So keep that in mind.
So I mean, so KISS came up. During my university years,
KISS. I'm just picking.
And the thing is, at the very beginning, they were very hip. They weren't being made fun of. KISS was really loved by. They were very not counterculture.
They've reinvented themselves a few times.
Yeah, they have. And at the very beginning, they were really, up there with popularity amongst the young kids, you know. And the other reason I like KISS was that they were incredibly kind to our Canadian band Rush when they started off and they couldn't really get any gigs. Gene Simmons saw them and said, "These guys are great," and then put them on the tour with them to open.
That's
For
one
them
thing
for a good long time.
Gene did do a lot of, was
And Gene
helping
was
out bands.
unbelievably
Yeah.
good to Rush. Actually, one
He
of the
also-
things that I was just going to say, one of the things Gene couldn't understand is that while KISS were getting laid constantly, the guys from Rush were just more interested in going back to the hotel room and playing cards. he couldn't get that. Couldn't
They're
understand.
Canadian.
Yeah, he thought they were kind of cute that way.
They're kind of weird. No, but he also helped discover like Van Halen and a few other bands too.
And
Very-
solved a
very
lot of
gracious
those,
individual.
band's money problems as well.
Yeah.
Told them how
Well,
to budget.
He'll put the KISS name on anything, including condoms and coffins.
Well,
I
KISS
saw the
almost,
coffin thing a while ago.
KISS almost went under
Yeah.
until they got the live album out.
Yeah, well, that's true too. Well, like Andre, just for Yellow Flash didn't know about the KISS coffin, so I had to show him. On the chat. Like, oh no, he legitimately has one. It's a legit, real,
Yeah, I think
licensed.
we went over that in a flashcast, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't
There's
there, just to be said. So I'm not the only one talking KISS here.
No.
But like I've mentioned them out of the blue, and it must be like it's been several times this week, and I just recall that it must be because I've been subliminally affected by this being the 50th anniversary of their debut album. Apparently.
Shout it out.
Since we're on bands and
Yeah.
in this topic, did you guys talk about the apparent Beatles cinematic universe they wanted to?
Yes, we did a little
Yeah,
bit.
we
the other
did.
day.
Yeah, but let's hear your
What's
thoughts.
your
That's
thought?
how I mentioned KISS the last time. That I would love a KISS cinematic universe movie, since you have a couple of competing stories going on there. But
Well, it came up because I had to bring up.
Christmas
Well, my
live action.
question is, is this the way that would be really interesting is if they're actually going to touch on like after the band breaks up. That's where the really juicy stuff is, when they were all fighting for a minute. Like when Paul
It
released
doesn't sound like
McCartney
it.
before Let It Be and stuff like that. That caused a lot of
Well, that
a
might
lot
be
of
in the
drama.
movie, but it sounds like
do you
the movie
remember
all-
that? A lot of
Yeah.
people don't.
But it sounds like all four movies are gonna, which is funny because I think Ringo also released one early too.
Yeah, but Paul got a lot of shit for that.
Paul was the one who got shit. Ringo didn't.
They
but I
blamed
think
him for the breakup. The media.
all
did.
four movies are supposed to end in the same place, as far as I know.
So it's just going to be the same story, just
From
you'll
different
see a lot of
angles.
recycled scenes. Then I think.
Possibly, but just from different points of view is kind of what it sounds like. And it was funny because that's why I brought up KISS, because I brought up to Paul. I'm like, remember when KISS did the 4 albums where each member did their own album? I said that's kind of what this is. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I mean, I would watch it, but how many people are going to go see it 4 times if there's like? So what's the difference? What's the percentage difference in these scenes then? So you're going to have like, are you going to see 50% of the same movie every time?
I don't know. I think they would have filmed it like a TV series, but this is where I said that I wish that it had been done by 4 different directors that would tell the story from each band member's point of view, but filmed in 4 distinct styles with 4 different kinds of narratives that would fit the personality of each Beatle, rather than to have one person do the same thing, because then I can see that it very quickly can become what you're saying here. It can be kind of like a movie or a TV episode where you see like the same scene play out like 4 times in a row from different angles. It has a risk of very quickly resorting to that, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I even proposed doing it at, oh my God, they're very young there. Holy shit.
No,
That looks
that's
like you,
me.
Paul.
That's me.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
I was
you
just
see
gonna say that
Paul
looks
there.
like you. Yeah.
Yeah. So Paul Starch. Oh my God.
That was our KISS tribute band.
Of course you were Paul Stanley, because you're Paul.
Okay, I'm just gonna say again, like Paul has done everything. I mean, nuclear physics.
He has.
Or whatever. I mean, whenever there's a new topic, we should instantly just ask, "What's your experience with this?" Because you've been there, done that. Even a KISS cover band.
Yep.
Yeah. But on the Beatles front, yeah, Flash, we were kind of proposing, I brought up like they should do that, what Paul said, but not only that, they should do each movie with each individual, like in one of the styles of their movies. Like John's movie would be like Hard Day's Night. Paul's movie would be in the tone of like Help. George's movie could be in the tone of like Magical Mystery Tour, especially with all the Indian stuff. And then you got or the Hindu
Ringo
stuff,
in the
whatever.
Octopus Garden.
And no, Ringo should be Yellow Submarine, hands down. Yeah, but that's the one I was saying is that probably be the different of most of them would be Ringo's, because his story doesn't interconnect with the boys until they're already getting going. The other guys, those three were together since high school, so like that's where the only one that's going to be a variant, because he was
Ringo
a little
was
older
the adult of the group.
Yeah, he was already a little older, already in a bunch of bands and stuff by the time he joined. Yeah.
Yeah, Ringo was the three of them before him were like friends from child, like they all got together when they were younger.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
I
in high
don't
school.
really need to see old footage and
Junior high,
stills of each of them. I certainly don't need 4 movies that are retrospective movies of each of them.
Well, I'm sure John's will be more from his point of view from
No, but I
home,
don't give
like
a
the
shit.
shit that
I
he
mean,
dealt with.
again,
But again,
you just
I
said-
brought the other day, they've done 10 movies on that now. That's
Yeah.
the problem.
I would be more into seeing a movie like that than that's going to touch on their breakup, because all of them were going through things.
Just call it
there would be
Yoko.
enough there, like when they were all recording, like based around the time of the ending, the rooftop concert.
Yeah.
That would be pretty cool, you know.
Well, that's probably the best place to end the film. I mean, kind of like with the Queen film, when I said that, I said the place you end it is you end it with the Live Aid thing, and then you just freeze it and you put on the screen, you know, John or Freddie Mercury died of AIDS or whatever, blah blah blah. This version you just have it ending, and then you say John, died in 1980, blah 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 blah, and then from there George died, blah 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 blah, and then the movie ends. That's how it should end. But I always said it should just be a trilogy anyway, just cover the 3 eras of their music. Really, that's the best way to do it. And then if you're going to do a 4th movie, that's what you want, Flash, and that's all the stuff after, right? All the 1970s.
Yeah, I think that's where all the juicy stuff is, like.
But like
into it.
Andre pointed out, like we don't even think about it now, but back then it's like they only covered like 7 to 8 years of rock history. Like it's a very small time. Like their solo careers are, longer than their actual history was with the Beatles.
I believe that their album publishing period was 7 years, and that's
they did 13 albums. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the time frame from Avengers: Infinity War till now. That's the entire span of the Beatles as a record producing group.
But in the beginning, they were just pumping them out. See, that's the thing. They did like 2 albums a year at first.
Yeah, that was how the industry was then. I mean, nowadays you have like groups that are like really taking years upon years to do something. I mean, Rammstein has had 9 years between 2 albums. I'm like, the hell are you doing? Like,
I think it was Michael Jackson who kind of started doing that. He would do that 5-year gap.
Yeah,
there's a band that did 20 years between albums.
Sure, there's been a few.
I think it was,
but that's usually
Guns N' Roses or REM. No, probably Guns.
Guns N' Roses. That's all because of Axl.
Yeah,
REM they quasi retired. That was the thing for a while.
I would say that Guns N' Roses, they stopped making music, and then it was the Axl Rose band.
Yeah, it's the Axl Rose band.
Yeah.
Well, now he's got most of the original members back, but he sounds like shit. So what good is that?
Yeah, but now, fine. The original members are back, but at this point, are they Guns N' Roses or are they a Guns N' Roses tribute band?
No, they're more like geriatric roses.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I loved Axl Rose singing for AC/DC for a while with the broken leg while he was in a wheelchair. That was the best.
That was
hilarious.
Embarrassing, yes.
Did you see that? That was unbelievable.
I saw a clip of it, yeah.
He sounded pretty good, actually.
He sounded better for them than he did for his stuff, yes.
I agree.
Well, that's because he can't hit the notes anymore. That's why.
But Slash is the one. I went to a Velvet Revolver concert and actually got his. They throw the guitar picks and stuff. They caught his guitar pick.
Of all the guys, he's the one that cleaned up the most. It was funny, and he was probably the most trashed during the early years. Like, yeah. But anyway, who can say Michael Jackson's not a good influence? Yeah, he started hanging out with Michael Jackson. He gave up a lot of the drinking and drugs and stuff. Yeah, he's on Dangerous on that album. He plays. Yeah. He started hanging out with different people and he cleaned himself up pretty good. Yeah.
Speaking of guitar picks, I actually have a Rammstein guitar pick that Richard
I have a
threw-
Third Eye Blind one somewhere.
Yeah, that he threw from the concert. I was able to like catch in my hand before it fell down to the ground.
I found it on the floor after the concert.
Yeah.
I have the Marilyn Monroe guitar pick.
Oh my.
No one really
She
knows that
played.
she was really good guitarist. It's rare. It's something that no one realizes.
Yeah, she was one of the Les Paul's proteges.
Yeah.
Anthony sends in a member chat. Let's see what you guys are talking about. Says, wow, so they're going to progress until everything reverts back to the way it was except for shoe on the other foot.
What's he referring to?
I think he means the whole AI.
Oh, I thought it was the
racist.
Beatles.
No, this is from earlier. Right after we started, actually. Yeah, it kind of feels that way, but I think things are kind of swinging back around. Speaking of swinging, we got Swinging Cod, who sends in 5 and says, Gemini AI is Chris Farley and Black Sheep after smoking weed with the Rastas. That's a good analogy, but I think I'm going to stick with the RoboCop one. I think that works best.
It's staggering that got out of Google without any. I just cannot conceive how it escaped. It's
No. What you should not conceive is how it was commissioned and sanctioned and agreed upon by all members of the company. That's what you have to contemplate. And meanwhile, Tomok says for $20, I would like to thank Flash for informing the people that Tifa has been giving her Tatas back in the next part of Final Fantasy VII. And yeah, I saw that you put a video up about this, and this is something that I am fascinated about. And the reason for that is that I've noticed people have talked about how incredibly excited they are for Final Fantasy VII. More excited than any other game coming out this year, which to me is a very sad indictment on the current state of gaming. But
seems like Square might be getting their groove back.
Yeah, but to talk us through this, what's this for those of us that don't follow in this detail?
Well, in the first game, there was a lot of, I mean, they put her in like 30 sports bras. It was pretty obvious, like her boobs never moved. And it's these little things, but people get tired of this. People wouldn't be talking about this if it wasn't everything, like the new Lara Croft having almost no sex appeal. You know what I'm talking about with the new design?
Yeah,
they out thinking
they did
everybody's
like 5 years
it.
ago or whatever.
But they did a newer one now that restored to kind of what it was before.
I was going to say before was when they did it. Yeah.
Yeah. Square, it looks like they erased their ESG stuff. All that I could find was the PDF file that they put out on ESG. The stuff on their website's gone. Their ethics department area seems to have been erased. And last year, they got a new CEO, which I didn't even know about until today when I was looking at it. And I think this guy must have looked at how badly Forspoken sold, which was a travesty. That game really got burned hard because, you know, no one wants that stuff. And they lost a lot of money on it. And I think people saw the criticism of Final Fantasy VII Remake and they said, okay, well, we'll bring them back for Rebirth. Because in that swimsuit scene, I mean, she's flowing all over the place. There's a mini game of her like doing sit-ups. I saw that today. Otherwise, I would have put it in the video. I wasn't sure if that was a mod from the first game or not, if that's really in that, because I haven't played the demo. But she's sitting there like the mini game is just basically her doing sit-ups in a swimsuit while the camera circles around her. So it's like, okay, well, this is nice to see because this is one of the nice things about the Japanese stuff is the fan service. Like you don't get that in the Western stuff anymore. And for them to totally throw that away was dumb. Really dumb. Because, sex sells.
It does. That's the thing.
The sooner the gaming industry is able to understand that, the better. But it would appear that the almighty dollar, that people do worship, that you have to make some sacrifices in order to get some love in return from the almighty dollar. Would you say that is part of the motivation here? Could there maybe be some hope for the gaming industry when this can happen, when you can return to a little bit to the male gaze for the sake of money? Does that
You would
mean
hope
that
so. That used to
in
be
the
how they
after,
operated.
yeah, that in the aftermath of to go back to that for a moment, in the aftermath of Suicide Squad killed the Justice League, kind of failing expectations, which we know that Warner has said publicly now. You think that maybe Warner would be interested in deciding, maybe we shouldn't use Sweet Baby Inc. anymore because they're clearly bad for business? You think that something like this could happen in the world of gaming? Are we seeing some kind of trend like that? Like, what's your opinion on that? And someone that follows video games far more than I do.
I don't think in the West so much, but in the East, maybe. The Western developers are really quadrupling down on this. You saw with the success of Spider-Man 2, I think it's going to get a little bit worse. But the Japanese developers and, well, let's just say Asian developers in general, because South Korea is starting to emerge. So I think you might see them kind of walk back a little bit and get away from this ESG. I would hope so. But the Western developers, they're not going to change for a little bit. In fact, I think they're going to get worse.
Well, then so will I would say that so does consumers have to be. So do the video gamers, because if they keep supporting this, then that's on them. All the people that made Spider-Man 2 a success, knowing what was in it, what were they doing? This is their fault. They did this.
Yeah, a lot of that stuff didn't come out until the game was out with Spider-Man 2. We didn't know how much they were going to push Miles, and no one had played it really. Like, how would you know there was going to be a 20-minute scene of you spray painting graffiti as a death woman?
How quickly did it take before that kind of information got out there? Because I realize that in the case of Suicide Squad, we lucked out because there was like this
big leak,
this very convenient glitch where all the cutscenes leaked early.
Yeah, that Batman scene screwed the hell out of them.
Yeah, could that have been like some deliberate act of sabotage from an unfaithful servant, or just incompetence, you think?
I think somebody put that out there. It's got to leak out from somebody internally, right? Like,
yeah, that's what I'm thinking, because I just know that when we get leaks in movies and stuff like that, more often than not, it is someone who loves the property they're working on and they're pissed off because it's being treated wrong, and that's when we get leaks. Even if it's not to us, when someone leaks something, this is usually the reason. For instance, I know with the first Dune movie, we knew people that worked on that, which is why the relatively few scoops that we were able to deliver on it were 100% accurate in every single detail. But we didn't really hear all that much, because what I heard is that everything is fantastic, chill, it's all good. Really not much to say. It's a fantastic movie. Everyone is happy. Everyone is getting along. There's no problems other than what you have on every production. Everything is just great and smooth. That's the only kind of feedback we got, and there were no real leaks on it because everyone were proud and happy. Whereas bad productions, they leak like sieves because the fans working on it are unhappy. That's why I'm like inclined to believe that the Suicide Squad leak may have been a little bit intentional from someone. Would be my thought. Yeah, what we're looking
somebody
at here.
that worked on Spider-Man 2 saying the quiet part out loud. It's only 11 seconds long.
Give people stuff they want, so you can inject things that maybe they aren't familiar with, or maybe they don't know they want, but make them like that stuff.
What happened, my nigga?
Give people stuff.
Them like that's the part I have a problem with.
Yeah,
me too.
See, because that's not abnormal, right? We've always gone through that, and throughout history, they always inject something new by using
experiment
something else. Yeah.
But and if it works, it works. And if it doesn't, that's just the market responding, and you move on. But make them.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, that's exactly my point. Exactly that script. It's almost like you're forcing a kid to take their medicine and hiding it in, candy or something. You know what I mean? Or a dog. Like you do with your dog. Hide it in a treat. It's like, that's not what I want. It's no different to me than anything else. I get sold a bill of goods. I watch a movie or TV show. I have an expectation out of it. I go to a Batman movie expecting Batman. I don't go in expecting him to be usurped by Batwoman halfway through. And that's kind of what they're getting at.
Well, you're going to see the sales of the next one, because the next one is going to be Miles Morales only, with Peter probably as like the dude in his headset.
I hope it tanks.
Something like that. Well, that Miles Morales game sold like less than half.
I'm sorry, but Miles Morales to me is
the
like
original game,
a poster child for what is wrong with all of this. They didn't change his name. They literally just slapped a coat of paint on him and called it a new character.
So we'll see.
And you can call me racist for all you want, but it's true. It's fucking true. All they did was add stereotypes to him, especially in Spider-Verse. But anyway, I know you enjoyed that. But I see Nina in the chat. I'm going to send you a link, Nina, if you're not busy. But yeah, let's get into some of these super chats here. We got a few more to go through. Pilgrim Media sends in $2 early on and says, I have taken the red pill. Should I take the black? I don't think you should necessarily. I think that one will kill you.
Isn't the red pill a horse tranquilizer?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. I don't understand pills. I never did. But we got Gabatron, not Galvatron, sends in $10 and says, hey guys, I'm a veteran Toronto-based motion graphics and visual effects professional. I'm happy to lend my skill set to any of you to escape working on the woke crap here. Well, Gabatron, I don't know if we can afford to pay you nearly as much as you may have made in other places, but no, get with us on Twitter or send us an email.
Yeah, send an email and we'll talk.
Why don't you drop your email in the chat there, Andre? And you can...
Yeah, well, just go into the about page on this YouTube channel. You'll find my email right there. Yeah, because I think we would love to talk anyway.
Absolutely.
We'll see, don't think we can offer you anything full time, but we can talk, see what we can work out.
Maybe we can definitely work out some commission work to start on. Indie Phantom sends in 5 Canadian. Oh, we got a bunch of Canadian brethren here today. Look at that. Sends in 5 Canadian and says, I love watching older series and movies, diving into regional films of the 60s lately. It is bittersweet, though, guys, when you recognize where we are. Oh, yeah. No, totally, dude. I hear you. What's even sadder about this, not to kind of twist into something a little less personal, I guess, is just, it's kind of funny how these shows that were so bad and movies that were so bad back then, and you watch them now and it's like, really, they're not as bad as the stuff we're getting now. It just goes to show you how poor the quality of stuff we're getting and how deeply infected these companies are by this crap. And it just reminds me of what we were going through the other day about with the animation stuff that, Film Thread. And, this women in animation, instead of actually teaching these women how to actually animate and tell stories and do all this other stuff, they were just teaching them how to get rid of the white men. That's it. And you think I'm joking? No, I'm not. Yeah, that's literally, they had tools and videos to help them learn how to spot problematic white men and how to get rid of them and go up the ranks faster. Not through talent, but by just getting rid of the old white men.
And it killed competition because, again, to your point, Tom, those shows in the 80s that kind of stunk back then, they stunk because they're up against really, really better shows.
Right.
That's it. We don't even where's the competition these days to really make everybody else be like, hey, wow, that show is really killing it in the ratings and everybody likes it. How can we write something that can compete with that? That's not even a factor anymore.
Indeed. It took me a minute to find Nina. She changed her icon. I'm like, I can't find her.
She said her show's about to start soon.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, if you're busy, no worries. If not, hop in and say hi either way. But yeah, no, totally Indie Phantom. This is not a trend that I think is exclusive to you. John Apocalypse sends in £2. It says, Tom, you want mid-tier films? Go see Boy Kills World. Yeah, guys have been talking about this. I haven't seen the trailer yet, but it's supposed to be pretty good from what I've been seeing or hearing. I mean, not seeing. You guys seen the trailer for this yet?
I did. It's it's weird. I don't know. It's got a lot of vibes that are similar to what we saw in Borderlands last night, but just not as colorful. But but I mean, it's definitely intended to be a comedy, an action comedy.
Okay.
That's what's better. Like the tone is clear. With Borderlands, like I don't really know what to make of that. I know it's trying to be funny, but is it trying to be stupid and trying to be?
It's like a
Well,
Guardians
it's Eli Roth.
Suicide
He doesn't know
Squad
how
thing,
to
yeah.
create a narrative. Like that's the problem.
Well, it was pretty much like I'm sure they told him. Like I don't even know if he's ever played the game. Look, I don't hate Eli Roth, but I mean,
him. Yeah.
I don't think he's completely untalented. But I'm not going to sit here and pretend he's on like any level of like Tarantino or any of these other guys. I mean, as far as horror movies go and like a horror comedy tongue-in-cheek thing, he can handle that kind of stuff just fine. He's probably a better actor than he is a director. I'll also give him that.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, I think somebody just came to him and said, "Can you make us a Suicide Squad, Guardians of the Galaxy kind of thing?" And that's what we got here. I don't think he ever played the game.
Well, I mean,
honestly
his
don't.
style it kind of does ape and elevate, or not elevate, but ape and amplify. That'd be the better word. Ape and amplify other filmmakers. Like if you take a look at his horror stuff, you've seen the same stuff that's been done in Nightmare on Elm Street and Jason movies. Like he's not really doing anything really
Right.
new other than he's like, I'm just going to go harder on the gore. Or
Well, wasn't
harder on
Cabin in the Woods or something like that one of his? And that was one of them. Which one am I thinking of?
No, Cabin Fever. Cabin Fever was one.
Cabin Fever. That's the one. Yeah.
Yeah.
The one with Chris Hemsworth.
No, that's the
Cabin in the Woods.
Cabin in the Woods.
I was getting them
Cabin
crossed
Fever
over. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cabin in the Woods.
Fever.
I like. I don't think I've Cabin Fever. I don't think I've seen that one then.
It's got the yellow Power Ranger from like not the original Power Rangers, but like one of the subsequent ones in it.
From the
like
Mighty
Rick
Morphin
Morphin,
team.
She was in not another teen movie. That Power Ranger. That chick.
I only really know the first batch.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did Hostel. That was his other big claim to fame. And then he was like acting wise. He did like Inglourious Bastards. He was in that. He recently directed Thanksgiving. I keep calling it Thanksgiving. I don't know why. That's that other one.
No, he actually chickened out on Thanksgiving because it was so tame compared to like the trailer that he did for Grindhouse, which made it look like an actual fun Grindhouse film.
But people enjoyed it. But yeah. I'm gonna have to check this trailer out. Normally, Paul sends us these smaller, lesser-known trailers, but Paul had to leave because he got a new refrigerator. So do check out Appalling News.
His fridge is running, so he had to check.
Yeah, his fridge is running. He had to go catch it, literally. But do check out his channels. Call me Chato and Appalling News. And then Indie Phantom sends in another Canadian $2 and says, "What are some of your favorite canceled early series?" Oh boy, that's a good question. V was one that I was always pissed off about both times. The way they did it so dirty. That's probably the go-to. What about you guys? Script? Anything come to mind?
Well, not so much in like the early 80s and stuff, but Netflix had a show that I was really charming for me. It was the Santa Clarita Diet with Bob Odenkirk and Drew Barrymore, and it actually has the kid who plays Jimmy Olsen in Superman Legacy.
Or she's a cannibal, right?
She's like a pseudo zombie cannibal. Yeah, like she's kind of undead, and she's not really decomposing so long as she eats meat or living flesh. And it's really cleverly done. And of course, Netflix obviously cancels it too early. There's a science fiction show that was okay called Space Above and Beyond that I thought had a lot of potential, but I only think it got one season. Yeah.
What about you, Flash?
Spectacular Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
And Wolverine and the X-Men actually was really good.
I vaguely remember that one, yeah.
As for me, the one that hurts me the most is actually a 2014 series that was one season on ABC called Forever, starring Ian Groford or Jon Groford or however it's pronounced, the guy who played Mr. Fantastic in the 2005 Fantastic Four. He played a guy who did not age, who lived forever, and he respawned Doctor Who style, but as himself every time he died. And it was a series that was he was basically a Highlander, and there were a couple of other Highlanders out there as well. So it's like Highlander without the quickening. It was a really, really intriguing series, and I was devastated when it was prematurely cancelled. So that was a rough one. Others that come, and it never got to conclusion. You basically just got to, wow, this is getting amazing, and then over. So that was rough. Other series that were really good. But luckily, the next two I'm about to mention, they were canceled prematurely, but the production crew did know ahead of time. So they were able to rush an ending. One is Rome, HBO's Rome, starring the late, great Ray Stevenson, who sadly died suddenly last year. One of the best TV series ever made. Prematurely ended because they rushed basically like 10 years in the last 3 episodes. There's another series called American Gothic from 1995. The Norwegian title was actually better. The Norwegian title translated back to English was The Sheriff of Trinity, which I actually thought sounded better. It's starring Lucas Black, is that his name? The guy from Dodgeball, also from Office Space, who basically played the devil as a sheriff in Hicksville, USA. Amazing series. Produced by Sam Raimi. Sadly, prematurely cancelled. Another one that still hurts, Star Trek Enterprise. Cancelled after season 4. The plans for season 5 were amazing, and we're never getting it. Yeah, that's fine.
Well, and I'll throw one more out there that you forgot, and that is the Motu 2000 series.
Yes. Yes.
Somebody in the chat said Sarah Connor Chronicles.
That was another one that people were pretty.
I loved that show, actually.
Yeah,
that was really good to me.
That was
that's
true
a true Terminator 3. That's true Terminator 3. It's
the only thing I didn't like about that show is how they came up with that convoluted way of sending him into the future just so John could stay young. It was just like, okay.
Oh, the gimmick, that was weird. What also sucked is that unfortunately the 2007 writers' strike got rid of half of the writers' rooms, so they ended up having to go into a very different direction for their second season, which I didn't think jived too well.
No, the second season didn't.
God darn, that first season was still pretty good.
Pretty solid, yeah.
That Terminator too, the one that hung out with him, was hot. What's her name?
Yeah, she was.
Yeah, she was on V as well, I think, or one of those shows. She was, or not V. What one was I thinking of?
She was in another one, but
Battlestar Galactica, I think it was Caprica or whatever it was. Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah,
and
Summer Glau, that's her name.
Yeah. No, there are a couple of those that were just canceled way too.
Firefly, of course, the chat has brought up is a big one for people. Yeah.
She's actually known as a little bit of a bad omen for TV shows because every time she shows up, the show gets canceled within a few episodes after.
Yeah, Summer Glau, that's the other one. Yeah.
Yep.
Here's one that hurt me real bad, Deadwood. And then they went and did the movie, which was okay, but it's like you're trying to wrap up so much shit in a 2-hour movie. Why didn't you do a trilogy of movies? Because to me, it feels like the ending is so unsatisfactory.
And
I'm probably the only Deadwood fan here, evidently.
in the chat here, Sledgehammer. Boy, that sure ended on some cliffhanger. Yeah, I'd love some Sledgehammer.
Am I really the only one here who watched Deadwood?
Probably, yeah.
Oh, I saw Deadwood when it came out, and I loved it, but I haven't gone back to it in a while. I should.
I mean, that turned the word cocksucker into poetry.
Yeah. Oh, and some more love for Terminator, the Sarah Connor Chronicles.
Oh yeah, she was in it too. That's right.
Was amazing in that one, and also that season finish where she played Samsung and Delilah, the song. I mean, that was glorious.
Yeah, I wish she had done more acting in the last 20, 30 years.
She was good. She was really good in that.
No, but I cannot recommend Deadwood enough. It's even still a great show, even though it doesn't have a perfect ending, but yeah. The movie just rushes things. That's the only problem. John Thomas says, Script Doctor last night, Jeff of WCBS showed some guys' tweets making the case Madam Web ripped off Goofy movie. Okay.
Oh, I haven't seen the Goofy movie before, so
Really? You've never seen the Goofy movie?
I've barely seen any Disney movies until college, and even then,
that's right. You told me that before.
So I haven't seen it.
Goofy movie is actually pretty good.
I think Goofy movie is about like he's going on a road trip with his dad, but he wants to hang out with a girl. Is that the
okay? Basically, the plot is there's some concert coming up, and he gets a date with a chick to go to the concert, but Goofy gets it drilled into his head by Pete that to keep his kid from going down the wrong path, he's got to spend more time with him. So obviously he's like, oh, I got this camping trip with me. Goof would be perfect. So he drags him on this camping trip with Pete and his boy. And turns into some cross-country adventure because it's just it's a typical road trip movie, but that's kind of the basis for it. It's pretty funny though. But, Silver Nova sends in a member chat for 34 months. Thank you so much. Hopefully we see you Sunday. Speaking of members, we also have Astron1701 here, who's been a member for 16 months. Holy crap. Good morning, everyone. Well, good morning to you. HyperGyver2 says, Tom, play the clip. You've earned it. Which one for which thing? I know which one you're talking about, but if you're talking about the Warner Brothers thing, maybe?
I fucking knew it! Oh!
Could be a number of things. I think that he might be referring to the story that HBO Max is the first streaming service to be profitable. From the studio.
Slim profits, but yes.
As Script and I have been saying for a while, this whole idea that the media has been putting out there that Warner Brothers is falling off a cliff is bullshit.
I know.
Like, 103 million profit. Not a ton, but hey,
slim. Yep.
Better than $1.5 billion or 1.5 million subscribers shaving off or whatever it was that.
I think they only went down like 0.6 million last year.
Considering the changes they've had, I'm kind of surprised.
Yeah. Like Warner Brothers is doing well, but despite
the Snyder holes are coping and seething a bit, but yeah.
But besides some of the other media, the other trades trying to denigrate Zaslav, people are not worried really about Warner Brothers yet. I mean, it's having a negative. The trades are definitely having a negative impact on its stock price, but I don't know. I'm not going to give financial advice, but I don't know. I think this year and next year might be pretty good for Warner Brothers Discovery, and if they start entertaining mergers or what have you, in was it end of April is when they get to start?
I think so.
Entertaining that. We'll see what happens there. But no, this is a not very surprising for you and me, Tom.
No. What will be surprising is what moves they do make in April, like you just pointed out. Because of course, there's a few people thinking they're going to merge with Universal, but Culture, and I don't think that's necessarily going to be the case. Rumor was that talks between Paramount have also ceased, but that could also be that they couldn't legally make any kind of offer until April, so we don't know. But again, like you just said, I'm not a financial analyst, so I don't know anything about this. So about that side of things. I mean,
I just strongly suspect that they're going to make a play for CBS, not just for the sports, but also for the network, considering how much the TV they make.
Well,
and the fact they got rid of CW.
Somebody said something about the whole fact that that's part of the reason that Zaslav hasn't done much with CNN yet, is that he wants to bring in the CBS News crew to come in and clean that up.
Oh, that could work out.
Conglomerate the two, I guess, basically.
Yeah. Basically, so he can fire the bunch of people at CNN that's ruining it, and then just have it all centralized into CBS CNN News thing, right? Yep.
That is my hunch. But let's keep moving here. We got What's Your First Thought, who sends on Canadian 5 and says, it appears that One Piece series is an exception and not the rule. The Last Airbender met at mid, I think he meant, at best.
Yeah, mid at best.
Definitely giving me Dragon Ball Evolution vibes. Well, here we go. Have you checked this out yet? Flash, this is your domain.
I haven't even watched the original series. That was like a Western show. Last Airbender. I know a lot of people like it, but I never watched it. So,
well, the movie was produced by Kathleen Kennedy. That
I didn't watch that movie either.
Directed. Neither did I. Airbender came out way past my time. So yeah,
I see mixed reactions on it. That's what I've seen. And I almost thought about watching the show like I did for One Piece, but
I think Gary was saying
watching One Piece.
I think Gary was saying they just crammed way too much shit into the first bits. It sounds like they're pulling stuff from all over.
Yeah, you can't do that.
Yeah.
Like One Piece wisely just went with the East Blue arc and stuck to it. And
right.
That was one of the reasons why that show was successful. Plus it also had the original creator working with it, which Avatar did not. From what I saw, they walked away from the show. So,
and of course, that's an issue. And my thought on this is, even without knowing anything about this, I was hoping that Dragon Ball would be, that Avatar would be great for the fans. If the fans were happy, I might even check it out myself. But my worry with Avatar, the live action series, was that One Piece wasn't out yet at the time when Avatar was made. Because One Piece is the kind of thing, just like Spider-Man 2002, the first movie, that's going to change things. That's going to see, oh, if we actually do this the right way, if we embrace the weirdness of the original, if we don't try to shy away from it, but we embrace it, and we just get into the mindset of the original and we try to bring that on screen, it's going to work. That mindset is completely alien to Hollywood. That it tries to rationalize and make it work in a Western setting. And even I know that that is not how you do these kind of things. That's how it doesn't work, because now you are trying to take something that has a certain uniqueness and you try to force it into a different cultural mold, and then that uniqueness that made it appealing is lost in the translation. This is what One Piece did right. And One Piece can be influential, but it's only going to be influential for productions that come after and see, yes, that's what that did, and we're going to do the same. Avatar isn't one of those productions because it was developed at much the same time. They had not yet seen the market reaction to One Piece. This is the thing that had me worried. So yeah, I don't know what you think about that, but that's my thought on this, that Avatar came too late. In an ideal world, it would have started being developed now after they had seen the success of One Piece. I think if they had...
I see what you're saying, yeah.
We'd be looking at something different right now, because One Piece would have shown the way. Many people think that One Piece did show the way, and it will for things that came later, but Avatar was already too far along.
People need to understand about the 2 to 3 year kind of cycle that things kind of work on, right? Like,
yeah,
everything we're seeing now started coming to fruition 2-3 years ago. So yeah, it's kind of how it works.
So
I just found out yesterday. I was like, holy shit! But again, then I'm like, oh, that makes sense. The girl that's in the Borderlands, she's like 16 now, but she was only 13 when they shot the movie. But
yeah. That's my thoughts on that. Like, I don't know what you guys think of that, but that's my thoughts.
No, I see exactly where you're coming from, and I do agree with you.
Yeah.
Well, this was in production around the same time, exactly. Yeah,
exactly. And in an ideal world, they would have started development now, and not 3 years ago, which is what they did. All right, moving on.
Yeah, that's about all I have to say about that. Kino Reviews is here and sends in 5, says, did you see the reports the FCC will be utilizing DEI checklists similar to Disney? Is the FCC shielding Disney if this passes? I saw somebody post this. Now, I guess this is something they've tried getting through like twice now, and they couldn't, is my understanding, but I didn't have enough time to really look into it. Yeah, exactly. Exactly that. That was my understanding what Flash just said, that it's illegal. So I doubt it'll have any more success this time than it did before.
Well, they keep on trying, which is bad, because eventually they might succeed. But,
that's true.
Script, do you know anything about this?
Sorry, I had to step away and take a phone call. FCC is utilizing a DEI checklist similar to Disney. Oh, that's stupid. I don't know. I could only speculate at this point. I'd have to look into it further. Kino Reviews. I'm sorry.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Well, then we just have to wait.
That's my best answer right now. Is my guess is it probably won't make its way through. Arts84 1984 sends in $5. Says, hello there. I just wanted to say I'm a big fan of Midnight's Edge since the 2016 Ghostbusters and love Andre's voice in your videos. Well, if this is your first super chat, congratulations and thank you for listening, Arts1984.
Yeah, hope to see you again here much more. Thank you. I'm glad to hear that.
Indeed.
Those videos were fun to write.
We got a member chat on member stream on Sunday. Don't forget, Bucky Cat is a member for 11 months. Hope we see you there. Kitty Bear's been here for 27 months. Hopefully see you there. And D-Bud Martin, who's also one of our wrenches, has been here for 34 months. I'm sure we'll see him there. Lance Corporal Waffles has been a member for 9 and says, another member chat. What do you write? What do I say? I better not waste it. Yeah, you better not.
Yeah.
You better
That would
think
be a
long and
shame.
hard. And then we got Tipping Barm here who says for $4.99 to suss out the whitest among you, put out a plate of saltine crackers and mayonnaise sandwich. Whoever takes the bait is it. Fuck.
Mayonnaise sandwich?
I grew up on those bastards. No, actually, they were Miracle Whip sandwiches, but yeah.
Miracle Whip with cheese and pickles or whatever, right? Just actual stuff, not just bread.
No, it's just Miracle Whip.
Well, if that's the definition of whiteness, I'm out. So yeah.
Yeah, you're out.
Me too.
One of the whitest countries in the world, but you're out.
At least it's lettuce.
Speaking of, Stian Munstad has been here for 19 months. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
John Thomas sends in 5 and says, we're living in SNL Eddie Murphy skit. Kill the white people. Oh, yes. I don't remember him saying make them pay. Oh, yeah, make them pay. Maybe he does say that. But buy my record first. That's the part I remember most. That was a pretty racist skit. Indie Phantom sends in 5 Canadians, says Miami Vice is stylish and brilliant, but Michael Mann's less known crime story is worth binging. The man directed an episode which he didn't on Vice. Not only that, don't forget about Manhunter, which is like proto Miami Vice.
It was absolutely great movie.
Indeed. And then we have DCB Titan who says kudos for Borderland makeup and costume departments. They look like Tanis and Lilith while being twice the characters' ages. Yeah, I think this is the big problem. I don't see anybody saying anything about the way it looks or anything like that. They've said a few things about a couple of the characters that don't come till later games. That's what it sounds like to me. Is everybody's like, these characters are the actors are way too old for the characters.
Could the gimmick of this movie be that it's a sequel to all the video games and like they were in their past? Okay, then.
I have no idea. I don't know anything about.
I don't know anything about. I didn't like those games, so I played the first one for a bit. Didn't like it. Didn't even finish it.
I saw the trailer. At least I saw parts of the trailer when the game came out. Didn't finish it. Wasn't on the Mega Drive.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's just the best I can go off is what everybody else is saying because yeah. What Andre said. Chaos Sonic 1 sends in 5 and says, having everyone represented by main characters being villains who kill our heroes, a black guy done crime, a psychopathic villain, and a furry. I think he's describing Borderlands. Yeah, so it's just another Suicide Squad kind of ripoff. DCB Titan sends in Canadian Tenants is also on Borderlands. Krieg looks amazing, but we don't know if he's the conductor of the poop train. And Kevin Hart loved him.
Like those games,
but he's a 1.5 feet and 6 months in the gym short for Roland. Yeah, there's a lot of people that were coming up with much better choices for that character. It sounded like ActionCom sends in Tenants is script. Chato had to leave, but script. Andre, would you call Hoff's career a success? The man can act. Yeah, he's all charisma. But he's been in 2 iconic shows, but now he's a Shatner-esque joke, singing career notwithstanding. It's a good question.
Yeah, well, before we hand it to script and myself, standing in for Chato, I nominate Yellow Flash. What would you say? Is the Hoff's career a success, or is it just a joke that should bow his head in shame over a life wasted?
He's got a big career overseas, so, I don't know. I mean, he's not, that's still success. He's more successful than a lot of people. A lot of people probably wish they had his fame, so, yeah, I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, Shatner consistently worked. Like, I don't see him as a joke. Like, he has consistently worked his entire career.
Well, there was this patch in, like, the early 80s-ish, where they kind of made that kind of a joke in the early 70s kind of thing when there was the low, slow periods. But I mean, they even had the movies going on in the 80s. So even then you can't even say it. Even the joke was kind of becoming more the SNL kind of joke, But I don't know. Hoff, I don't think he's nearly as talented as Shatner. And the fact that he isn't working as consistent as Shatner, I think, speaks a lot more, like Flash was saying.
Yeah. Script, what say you?
I say that he's got an appropriate amount of success for what he's doing.
Yeah.
I mean, again, he's one of the reasons that helped make YouTube really big because he went viral just trying to eat a hamburger after a hangover. So
I thought that was a pancake he was eating off the floor, but yeah, I think you're right. It was a hamburger, maybe.
But like he still works. It's just not as frequently, obviously, as Shatner has over his career. But he's huge in Germany. And you know, if he's ever needs some euros, he can always head over there without any issues because they love him.
Yeah. My book, for all the teasing and all the bullying and stuff like that the Hoff gets, his career is a resounding success. He's headlined not 2 but 3 series because there were Baywatch spin-offs. That's a lot of money and career right there. He's been in a bunch of movies.
Baywatch
he is
Nights.
more successful than 97% of actors that have ever lived. You can laugh at him compared to the absolute upper echelon of stars. But this is still someone that everyone knows. He still to this day probably has more money in his account than any of us here are going to make accumulated for the rest of our lives. And just think of what he would have made in his prime, his impact, everything's referenced in movies all over the place. This guy, every young actor starting out, they will be lucky to get a fraction of the fame and career of the Hoff. Not only has he been successful in TV, he's been in film, and he's been in music, that too, mostly in Europe, but still, he is an entertainer in several fronts. People can laugh all they want. This dude's career has been a wonderful success that most people, including most actors, will never have and can never even dream about.
I agree.
All right. Then we got DCB Titan who says kudos. Oh, we got this one already. Didn't we? Yeah, we did. This one we got. This
Got that one.
Yeah, this is where we're at. Okay. Joe's Atmosphere sends in $9.99 and says Miami Vice had some great stories in the Edward James Olmos days. Yes, his best friend was in the KGB, and he had a pact to protect his family upon his death. First time I saw decapitation on network TV. Yeah, like I said, it did go off the rails eventually, but first season or 2 was really, really solid. And then we got Kalekioki who says with $5 script, Paul, stop sending us your woke crap. Sweet baby stink. We already got enough problems here in the States. This is true.
That's from Montreal, Quebec. We disavow them. Not the same people over there, but Quebec is like a hybrid between California and Florida. Like all the negatives of both states are in Quebec. Mostly because of their current politics right now. I feel fear for the citizens of Quebec.
All right. Then we've got Paranoid Android who says, now speaking of good 80s show, there's always Crime Story. Bet a member 14 months. Yeah, somebody else brought that up earlier too.
Yeah, it's really great ones.
And then we've got Chaos Sonic 1 here who sends in 5 and says, Yellow Flash, I want to point out, Tifa is still censored with her battle model as that black tank shirt is still there and it hides her cleavage still. Part 1. And then part 2 of that from Chaos Sonic says, Square still hasn't changed and it's still filled with SJWs like Capcom. So just wait till it goes on sale. But people will still buy it.
I'll have to look into that. From what I've seen, it looks pretty good. I've only seen something about a panty shot or something. I don't know. From what I've seen, it looks fine. I'll look into it more.
Yeah. Well, the final trailer for Discovery.
She's not going to be in a swimsuit the whole game, you know. But the fact that that's there is, I think, pretty big deal. The fact that her boobs move at all are a big deal because usually they treat them like sandbags. So,
Yeah, then that is a big deal, all in all. It's a huge step in the right direction.
Yeah.
And where we are right now, I think we have to appreciate the baby steps because it's all we got.
Pretty much. And then we've got Sutton Creek Productions, who sends in a member chat and says, Gladiator 2, the lions get fatter. Yeah. Well, if they eat Russell Crowe, they will. Patrick Robinson sends in 99, says the Crow reboot is out on June 7th. How could we see a trailer? Looking forward to this trash fire. Oh, okay. So this is actually some news that dropped yesterday. I don't know if you saw this, Andre, but the ballerina must be so good that they're delaying it a whole year to do a couple reshoots. Instead, they're putting in the Crow, which if you happen to catch Mr. H's breakdown of the story, turns out that's probably most likely true because the synopsis they put out yesterday sounds just like that. So we get to see a bunch of junkies kill their dealers in the new Crow. That's the basic version of it. So I'm sure you're looking forward to that, aren't you, Flash?
This comes out June 7th and there's no trailer?
Yeah.
That's really...
They just finished shooting it not too long ago.
That's very encouraging. Wow, that's a rush job. Why are they putting it out so soon?
Because Ballerina was not ready for its release date. That's why, because they took one look at it and said, this is shit.
Huh. I mean, I'm not interested in I didn't like that second Crow movie. So I highly don't like this one. Just so the original's fine. Not everything needs a sequel. I'm so tired of that.
What it's about, Mr. H did a breakdown of it. And yeah, like I said, it's basically about two junkies. That's what they've turned Eric Draven and his wife into.
Oh, the junkies now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not interested. I just watched the first. The first one's coming out in 4K, so I'll watch that again. Perfect.
Indeed. But yeah, they haven't dropped a trailer yet, but I'd imagine we'll get one by April. Chaos Sonic 1 sends in another 5. Thank you so much. It says, I would like to point out that the pro-Palestine people were the same people that were calling people Yazidis. So they basically show true colors. Yeah, and I'm not getting into that one.
What does Queers for Palestine think about this?
Oh, I wonder. Michael Nemo sends in 5 and says, so Warner is okay with Joker being in Joker and the Batman 2, but not Superman being in Superman Legacy and Superman and Lois.
Oh, there's a different reason behind that. Warner Brothers has technically separated ties with Greg Berlanti, and he's over at Universal right now. And Superman Lois is one of his final shows with Warner Brothers Productions, so they're not going to continue that. Also, the show sucks, but aside from that, they're not going to continue.
Done. Yeah. And I don't know about the Batman 2 so much. We'll see.
Oh, yeah, I saw Joker is confirmed for Batman 2, which I think is way too soon, especially when you have that movie coming out. And do you really need to grab your ace already?
Was it confirmed or was it just a rumor?
I don't know. I
think it was just a rumor.
I wouldn't. First off, that Joker looked awful. Awful Joker from that cutscene. And yeah, there's the well is deep when it comes to Batman villains and what you can do. Do you really need to go there just yet?
Sounds like someone wishing for a repeat of The Dark Knight. Because again, a lot of people thought Joker and The Dark Knight was too soon. But yeah,
well, Mr. Freeze. They've never done him right. Do him right.
Yeah, I don't know about Superman is going to be in Superman Legacy. I know you're joking probably because there's all these other characters, but yeah. I'm surprised they're allowing the Joker to even be in the Batman 2 because you're looking at oversaturation.
Yep.
Yeah, you don't need him yet. I don't want him right now. Clayface is a good one. I see that in the comments.
Clayface, Scarface.
Yeah, tons of them. Batman has the best rogues gallery of all.
Zaz.
Of all.
You want to do a really good Batman movie? Just rip off 7 and put Zaz in it.
They already did that with the last movie.
Well, kind of, but I would love to see a detective story of him trying to solve like Zaz, like serial killing and stuff like that. That'd be great. Do that.
And then we got Anthony Donovan who says, I don't like how Gene and Paul have treated Ace and Peter. Yeah, I guess to a point. I mean, Ace definitely. But Ace kind of always went on his own way, and Peter, well,
What's
Peter was a fucking junkie. Okay, like let's be real.
from everything I understand, and of course, this is why I say that if something really needs 4 different movies, it's the KISS-tory, because there you have different stories. But from everything I have heard and everything I understand from this, Gene and Paul have been beyond patient with Ace and Peter, who they honestly probably never should have accepted in the first place, any of them. But they did. They didn't contribute all that much ever, other than being there. They were the kind of people that were along for the ride in what was really always the Gene and Paul band. Or
Well,
sorry,
I was gonna say
Paul
Ace is
and Gene
more
band.
like the George Harrison of that group. He was talented, but they didn't allow him to do much. That's where he flourished as a solo artist afterwards.
Yeah,
So I would
but also, from what I understand, what he wanted to do didn't fit with the band, and when they wanted him to do something, then he didn't want to do it. Even before they were superstars,
Oh,
who needed
absolutely.
more practical stuff, he was more of a diva when he had no reason to be. And
That may
then
be true.
then he let stardom get to his head instantly, and then he became much more difficult to deal with, much more unreasonable, not understanding that he was acting like the diva. And from the diva that you can't do the show without, you have to be tolerant and you have to be everything like that. But he was just basically someone along for the ride, because this is like a recurring thing in some bands, right? That you have a couple of people who are the truly driving creative forces, but they can't have a band on their own. They need other people to play some other instruments and stuff. So they need someone to come along for the ride. Now, there you have different two types. You have like the quiet type that is going to understand that, yes, I'm here along for the ride. I know that I will be far more successful just being along for the ride than I will ever be on my own. Fine, I won't be able to get to express my creativity and stuff like that. And you know what? Maybe that's not so bad, because I'll be far less successful as a solo artist expressing my creativity than understanding that I'm in the presence of bigger geniuses and just be thankful to be along for the ride. Then I'm thinking of the guitarist in Metallica, Kirk Hammett. He's a true rock and roller that they should kiss. Paul, no, not Paul, but Kirk and Lars should bow down and thank every day for being with them and holding everything together. Because when
Have
they
you
had
been
all
watching the
the
KISS-tory channel?
I don't. Is there such a thing?
Kind of.
Okay. Anyway,
There's this
no,
guy
but
who does this KISS-tory video thing. Yeah, it's
okay,
like
no,
12
but what I
hours
mean is,
long.
just look at Kirk Hammett. Like, he's there in the background. Sometimes he makes like this passive aggressive comment that, yeah, I would like to express my creativity and stuff, and he got to do that on Saint Anger. You know what? Saint Anger sucks. It's the worst album Metallica has. Metallica is at its best when it's Kirk and Lars. They're the driving forces, and everyone else basically just backs them up. That's when you get Metallica as at its absolute best. And Kirk Hammett understands this. He knows that he's along for the ride, and so just don't make any drama and be along for the ride, enjoy the success, and be there and be part of the success, and that's his role. Ace and Peter didn't understand that. That all they had to do was basically just play their parts. If they're good, they're going to get everything they want. They were encouraged to sing. They were encouraged to deliver their own material. Maybe if they had upped their game, they would have delivered better material. And most of all, don't fuck up and don't be divas for no reason. And then they would still have been there. I don't blame Gene and Paul. If anything, they were patient beyond belief. I'm sure that's going to make me unpopular with some people.
I agree with some of the things you said, but there's one thing I will point out.
Yeah.
The sad part about this is Ace and Peter had their 2 highest charting singles.
I know. I know that. You're thinking of like Beth, right?
Beth and New York Groove. Yep.
Yeah, like Peter may have had the core idea, which I think he got from a previous band or something, but he even was not the one that elevated that.
No,
Peter
but what I'm saying
alone
is listen
never have
to
made that.
Ace's album, his album with the Kiss and stuff, and the
Yeah,
stuff
his
the way
solo
he,
album apparently is the
yeah,
best of the solo
it is.
albums.
And then with New York Groove, like that is the best produced song they ever did.
And what's too bad that he couldn't use that Spire to truly elevate in the band, because when he left,
Well,
the
he just
band,
left, and well,
and
he did
when
okay
he had
afterwards.
and when he had the opportunity to show them, yeah, now I'm really gonna show those guys. Like was his Megadeth moment. That was when he could have branched out and done his own Megadeth. He didn't. He just flared out. And he has a new album now.
Maybe where you're at, I'm gonna say
Yeah.
the US Ace is actually pretty well respected.
Yeah. I respect him, but he's not what he could have been.
Oh no, but he's also not Kiss at the same time. He didn't have that kind of a bolstering behind him. But MTV supported him and stuff like that.
He's also not the Megadeth to Metallica, because Mustaine was kicked out.
Oh
of
no.
He made Megadeth, showing that they actually may have made a mistake on that one. Whereas that's what I mean. Ace, he never made the equivalent of Megadeth. He just went out, did a couple of albums, but mostly just flared away. And the biggest thing that he ever did after leaving Kiss was coming back for Kiss for the reunion tours, and he couldn't even do that right.
Well, we'll save the rest of this conversation for Midnight's Edge music. Michael Nemo sends in $5, says, did you hear that an actress from Superman Legacy say that the script is Lois focused? No, I don't remember her saying that.
No, there's the actor who auditioned and didn't get the role made that claim. And why would we believe her? She's reading sides to a screenplay that's incomplete at the time.
I wouldn't have been surprised if James Gunn was just using sides from Superman the movie.
Or anything else, yeah.
I might be like out of the anomaly with this or out of the norm, but I don't think he's going to intentionally try to fuck this up. I think he wants to get this right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the other part too is like Lois does play a significant role in Superman's story.
Yeah.
I mean, we barely get Margot Kidder in the original Superman film. Like if you take a look at that screen time wise.
Lois is a pretty big figure in the Superman story. So I don't know. I'm going to wait till I see something. Like I'm going into this with at least somewhat medium expectations. I think James Gunn did a good job with superhero shit. So
here's another thing. He also hinted that he was going to use His Girl Friday as inspiration for Lois.
Oh, that's
I watched that for the first time.
Yeah.
I watched that for the first time this last weekend because it actually came in the Columbia set, the last one. If that's the case, Lois is manipulated. Or not Lois, but the character who Lois would be based on is manipulated through the whole freaking movie.
No, that's you're describing the exact same approach that Deborah Joy Levine did for Terry Hatcher in the Lois and Clark series, which is His Girl Friday type character.
Yeah, she thinks she's in control,
but she's not really. Yes.
No.
I mean, look at the TV shows for Superman all have Lois in the title. Both of them. Like she's a big part of
ever since the 70s she has been, and that was where Donner said that he was going to concentrate a little bit more on the romance part, because that was something that's never been explored that much. And in the 70s, of course, was a big time with, coming off of Free Love and all that kind of stuff and the sexual revolution. So it was just the perfect timing. And that's why you have that scene on the terrace there, like Tom Mankiewicz wrote it. It is very tongue in cheek and meant to be very flirty, and the whole, what color underwear am I wearing? That whole thing. And she's wearing look at what she's wearing, for fuck's sake.
Technically a 90.
Yeah, she's like ready to get down. So yeah, that was the one thing, is he said that they injected a bit of sex into Superman.
Oh,
ever since then, that's what's
saying the
popular.
George Reeves show in the chat. Yeah, but I'm talking about recently.
No, George Reeves show didn't have any of that kind of stuff, though. That was more His Girl Friday camaraderie, like the quick, snappy dialogue thing. Yeah. And then that always ended with him always having to say something like, oh, well, I'm no Superman, Lois. That was kind of that whole joke.
Clark and Lois is a better show.
Oh, yeah. Well, actually explores their relationship, right? Like that's the point. I mean, why do they work? Why do they work so well together as a team? Why do they work well together as a romance? What's the love triangle? How does that play into it? That's kind of where I think Donner kind of threw that in there, was the love triangle bit a bit more, with having this idea that she loves Superman, but there's Clark as this other possibility, and he loves her, and he just wants her to notice him as Clark, not Superman, right? Like
people say in Smallville that's not a Superman show.
Yeah, it's more of a Superboy show.
Yeah. Smallville's its own beast of proto wokeisms and
it should.
I don't like Smallville, to be honest. I don't like Smallville.
I liked it at first.
I don't like
and then
Arrow. All those shows are nothing but love triangles and hallway scenes and shit. I'm just not into it. Those are for, like,
those shows just went
teenagers
off the rails
through and through.
Yeah,
because I did like it at first, but
I mean, the casting for John Schneider and Ned O'Toole as the Kents was inspired.
If you like them, it's okay.
But-
I get it.
Well, here's the thing. The first 5 seasons were really good at mixing this. Okay, yes, it's like this CW show, which it eventually was the prototype for, right? Like, we're not going to lie about that.
The only CW show I've liked is Superman and Lois.
But what they did do, and I will give it this, is they introduced a lot of characters that were not well known, and they would, even if they weren't always the best versions of them, the fact that they actually dove into Superman's, like, rogue gallery, and it wasn't just Lex Luthor every week, right? I mean, when it got to Zod, that's when shit started going off the rails. And that's where it's, like I said, the first 3, 4, 5 seasons up until when Jonathan Kent dies, I thought the show was fairly solid. It was a really good representation of, Superman's high school years. But I think even then their plan was to do like 4 years in high school, and the 5th year being him getting ready to be Superman. And that'd be the end of the show. And it just never worked out that way because they kept stretching and stretching and stretching it. That's where I said they should have just changed the show to Metropolis and let him be in the costume after that anyway.
They had a 7-year contract, and the goal was
is it 7? Okay, 7.
4 years of high school, 3 years of college, where he becomes Superman. They changed it in season 5 because they realized that they wrote all the college stories through a high school lens earlier, which means that they screwed themselves. And then at the same time, they also didn't want to cover the same territory that Superboy did back in like 1988. Right. And so they just decided to make Clark Kent a college dropout. In fact, every character a college dropout who just gets magically hired by the Daily Planet because they're friends with Lex Luthor, who happens to own the paper at the time. It's really convoluted way. You could tell that they gave up on the show.
Yes.
I personally don't like Smallville at all. It's the reason why we've had Arrested Development, and it comes to like inventive storytelling with superheroes, and that they're all teams. It's not just one, hero being able to do the brains and the brawn. They have to partition it out to all these other ancillary characters. Really just ruins the stuff. I'm always a big fan of go watch Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman. That's a great balance.
No, totally agree.
What that is of the character. And the Arrowverse, the Greg Berlanti stuff, and he worked on Smallville after Miles Goff and Al Goff and Miles Miller kind of departed, and he's the reason why you got the Arrowverse and the whining in hallways scenes and all that stuff. And yeah.
Well, let's keep moving along here. We got Tennille who says Pete Best movie would be a fun wild card. I swear they did one. I was trying to remember that the other day. It's like, didn't they do one? Maybe not that long. Maybe it was a few years earlier than that, but I could be wrong. SFX F1314 Saber-tooth Raptor. But he has been a member for 4 months. Says Marvel is not going to get back to its heights again. Aladdin Kang Light, the Little Kang, Gone in 60 Kangs. Love listening to you guys keep growing. Yeah, this was kind of the story that was going around yesterday, and you did a video on this, Andre.
Yeah, it's coming out after this show probably because we.
I didn't even know if that was the one that got dropped.
Well, I can't drop like 2 videos prior.
I didn't see which one got dropped. I just
no, the other one. But we have an update already because let's talk about this now because someone who believes that it's going to be very difficult for Marvel to go back to what they were, despite the Hollywood Reporter already doing an article on how Marvel is going to quietly retool. We're doing a video on that. But someone who believes that they can't necessarily do that is none other than Mark Ruffalo himself. This is a story that was published by Bounding into Comics, and they picked up on a quote from Mark Ruffalo. And just to go through it very quickly, what he says is basically that the Disney Plus shows, they killed Marvel's mystique. And once that genie is out of the bottle, it's very difficult to put it back in again. That's the gist of what he's saying. So, Yellow Flash, are you surprised? Do you agree with him? Or is he completely dead wrong about this?
Well, Mark Ruffalo's an idiot. That being said, he's not wrong here for once. They have thoroughly killed this brand. I don't know. I don't think it can be brought back without a reboot. You need to reboot everything, which they could do with Secret Wars, but I don't know if they're willing to do that. They have to bring back Steve Rogers, Tony Stark, and reboot it all and do a proper Marvel universe with the Fantastic Four in place, with the X-Men already there, with the Avengers, instead of what they're doing now with this female-led stuff, which I don't think they're going to give up on.
Yeah, no, because we had
Disney will be the last to change.
Yeah.
Disney will be the last Hollywood studio to change and go back to pre-woke.
Oh, for sure. But even if they try, it's going to be difficult for Marvel to do so. That's kind of like what he's saying, because the characters have already been demystified in a sense. A script, from a scripting point of view, is he right? When you have already seen all the stuff you've seen on Disney Plus, can you go back to a place of mystery? Can you go back to a place where, for instance, the Kingpin is a threat again, after we've seen him humiliated and defeated by an amputee already? Twice?
It's one Herculean effort. It's not something you can do overnight, that's for sure. I mean, at this point, the thing that killed Disney, at least on this side, is not just their ideology, but their oversaturation of their own market. I mean, if we didn't have the pandemic, we would have been getting almost 4 or 5 Marvel feature films a year on top of whatever Disney Plus shows they're putting into production. That's a lot. That's something that you cannot maintain the quality of because of that high of output. And the other part too is audiences have a threshold of how much they actually want to ingest. It's not so much like a fatigue or anything of that nature. It's just like you're not letting them, I don't know, actually be able to enjoy it, so to speak. It's coming out too quickly. Like it's you can't binge model feature films, and it looked like Disney was kind of essentially getting close to that. And yeah, you have to pull it back a little bit. You've got to allow the actual discussion of this content to germinate and grow and flourish. Otherwise, you don't have enough time to talk about what you like and look forward to its secondary release from theaters to streaming or physical or anything of that nature when it's just coming out so rapid pace. And the Disney Plus shows were pretty much back to back with very few gaps in between them. I think
all bad.
Last year we had the longest gap between Disney Plus Marvel shows compared to the previous 2 years. So yeah, this is, if they want to go back, they basically have to just take a little bit of a break and focus on getting at least one good movie and one good show out a year, and maybe not entertaining trying to go back to 3 or 4 products per year, because again, when you're doing that much output, you're not able to focus on the quality of those individual pieces. It's just same argument I make when studios announce, oh, we're going to do this new movie, and then we're also going to make a sequel for it, and we've greenlit the sequel while we're still in mid-production of the movie. Everybody working on that movie is no longer focused on making the best movie they can. They also have to start diverting their attention on making the sequel as well, which means that initial movie suffers, and both end up being terrible, or the first one's so bad they cancel the sequel.
What's it going to matter if how are you going to make this quality if no one cares about the characters?
Well,
No one
if
cares
you're
about
focusing on one story to make
Falcon
it good,
Captain.
yeah, if you're focusing on one character story to make it good, you're not going to win your entire audience back in that one part, but you'll definitely keep the core people will be watching it, and then they'll spread word, and then slowly people will come back to it. But it's only as good as that one project. If they don't make the subsequent one good, you're not going to actually be growing your audience. You're going to get stagnant, and that's just how it is. You have to figure out the new pacing for it so that people actually can get back up to speed. But yeah, you're not going to get. It's not going to be something that's done in a year's time, which, don't get me wrong, I'm pretty sure a bunch of people at Disney think they could do it in one. It's not going to happen.
I think they can, but it's not going to happen.
No, it's going to take like 3 or 5 in order for them to be like, oh, you're back on course. Great. Don't screw up what you did last time and you're fine. And people will then come back, and it may never get 100% to its peak, but it might get into that sweet spot where they're like, yep, this is now sustainable, profitable, and something reliable, so long as we do not, number one, oversaturate ourselves, number two, go back to the ideology that drove our core fan base and the normies away. And it takes a while because, again, you have to earn that relationship and trust with your audience.
I think it's going to take... Sorry, carry on.
I just don't think that you can work this will work at all when you're using all this DEI and stuff, which Disney refuses to change on. They say they're going to change it. They're going to try to make it like with that Spider-Man clip I put. They're going to try to give you what they want and then inject the stuff that they think you need.
Yeah, it's not going to work.
That's the problem right there. And that clip you put is truly profound for that reason, because it shows the mindset. We want to influence you. We want to propagandize you. And when we use something, you like to do it.
Well, what have I been saying? This is exactly where we started. We're just back to square one again. I said this the other day. Sure, X-Men on the surface, if you just watch the trailer real quick, looks fine, looks great, looks like what you want. Fantastic Four, they put out that Valentine's thing. Let's put Pascal aside, Passhole, or whatever we want to call him right now, aside for a second. Just look at it on its surface and go, yeah, we wanted it in the 60s. Those look like the 1960s costumes. It looks like the kind of vintage look we want. Great, I'm on board with that. But as I've been saying, that's just a paint job they're putting over top of it, right?
Yep.
There's still going to be the same crap underneath. In Flash, you started seeing the cracks right away with the X-Men trailer.
Yep.
It didn't take long, and then we start hearing shit about the showrunner and all that stuff. Yeah.
Fantastic Four's bait too. 48-year-old Pedro Pascal cannot play this character into his 60s. I don't, and plus he wasn't even their first choice. He was like their 5th or 6th choice for that character, which tells you, like, why is everyone turning this down? And they all got to look at some kind of script, I would assume. I would think, I think he's going to get, like I've said, this is why I think that theory of him becoming a bad guy is a big thing.
Could be. Certainly not ruling it out.
He's not the leader either way, and that's not the Fantastic Four. The Fantastic Four is led by Reed Richards, smartest man in the world, who is apparently not the leader now. Now it's Susan Storm, who has never been front and center for the Fantastic Four. So stupid. Yeah. It tells you right there they don't get it.
And I mean, I usually get called, the sourpuss or whatever the hell you want to insert there. But no, I've been saying this for a while. Deadpool 3 ain't gonna fix shit.
No.
None of these things are gonna fix shit. As you point out in your upcoming video, Andre, not to get ahead of it, but it's true. None of these things are changing because all this other stuff is still coming out. If they really wanted to signal a change was coming, which they won't, because then that's them admitting defeat, is to kill Captain America 4, the Thunderbolts, Echo, and Agatha all along. That would be the first move. Write them off.
Yep.
Yeah, that Agatha show. That's gonna be a huge
the Agatha
bomb.
show is the easiest one to do. Unfortunately, with the feature films, they have pre-sale agreements.
They probably do.
They have
unfortunately,
they have to fulfill those or else pay all that money back. But
it would have been better if they did.
It probably would be better if they did, and just took the hit and then said, okay, we're getting a new writing team. But again, this compared to all the other studios over the last decade, Bob Iger's the only one that's been there for the last 16 or so years, and he's the one that brought in the DEI stuff. He's the one that's going to go down with the sinking ship on it. The only way that's getting out of Disney is if they get a brand new board and a brand new CEO, because those are the types of people that actually say, we're throwing out all the crap. I'm in charge now. We're doing our new thing, just like what Zaslav did with Warner Brothers and the 3 other people that took over the company before him. that's what you got to. That's the only way it's going to happen. And so long as Iger's there, they're going to keep doing this. They're just going to try and find new formulas to get it across to audiences. But I think audiences are too savvy right now, and they're not going to buy into it. And it's just going to keep on leading to further and further failures on their part.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree completely. It's a sad state of affairs, but
Yeah.
that is how it is. Let's move on here.
Yeah. So what else is there in the story here? Or do you want to get back to super chats? You mean?
All right, let's go back to super chats. There's nothing else in the story.
Go ahead with Pinochet's Helicopter Tours, who sends in a $5 super chat and says, does anyone remember the open letter that Japanese artists and game developers wrote warning of the West's new ideological path? How fortuitous that was. I do remember that a little bit. Yeah, vaguely.
Yeah, I also remember the gist of it, but I'm going to defer to Yellow Flash on this one.
Yeah, I remember that. That was a while ago.
Is that where the
Did
word
it help, though?
came into our vernacular?
I don't know. I think money is what'll help with the Japanese. Money talks.
So then it's a matter of who can offer the biggest paycheck, the audience who's paying for the products, or certain people behind the scenes that controls.
People behind the scenes. I think you've got some slick-tongued Westerners coming in there and telling them, listen, we got all this money coming in from the West. One way to get more money from the West is if you change this, do that, because that's what the Westerners really want. These progressive value changes are, they're really taking the West over. And if you do these changes, you're going to bring in more money. And they get in there and they snake tongue them, and they think that's the way forward when it's not. And they forget that the things that people really liked were the Japanese aspects of these and their way of doing things. And that's what people fell in love with. That's what I think was happening. And it was happening because you have Crunchyroll sitting on these boards now for a lot of these animes as they start to develop over there. And that's a big problem. But I think money talks. And if more money comes in for these projects that are as they should be, I think things will go back to the way they should be over there. But, we'll see.
Well, we can hope. We can hope. And with that, let's move on here. Chaotonic says for $5, coming soon, Tifa Nude NFT. It is Square what you expect since they've been trying to get into the NFT market still. This is all news to me, but maybe it makes sense to you, Yellow Flush.
NFTs? No, I think it's a joke. They're not making nude NFTs.
I don't think that they're actually making that, although they probably would make a lot of money if they did.
And away for 3 seconds and everything just comes to a screeching.
Yeah. And Neil 89 says for $2, medicine, more like thumbtacks baked into a cookie.
Ouch. Yeah. No, that's a good analogy too there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of what it's done to the industry, right? I mean, at the end of the day, it's been nothing but a poison pill that's just spread. It's destroyed everything in its wake. Mo Zamboni sends in $2, says he is Canadian. Just put your poop outside, Paul. Well, Paul had to go chase a refrigerator. Sorry about that. Michael Nemo sends in $2 and says, I love Sarah Connor Chronicles. Gone too soon, indeed. Big Boss SB sends in $1.99, says not an early series, but the recent Swamped Thing. Oh yeah, that didn't last very long, did it?
No, it didn't. But I don't think that series was everything it could and should have been. I didn't see the whole thing. I flicked through bits and pieces of it, and it seemed okay, but I don't think it was everything it could and should have been. What say you, Culture? If you saw it.
I haven't seen it.
Are you muted, Culture? You mean Script Doctor? Because Culture's not here.
So I meant Script. Sorry.
Oh yeah. Oh, I saw it. It was. They did the best they could, having their budget pretty much cut and having to scrape together what they have shot into a cohesive story. But it had potential. I liked the first bit of it quite a bit.
Yeah, I didn't get to see any of it, but we're getting a new one now. So from Mangold.
Let's see how that turns out. That's actually something he could do, right?
Well, it's
Maybe.
something he won't have Warner Brothers over his shoulder 24/7 or up his butt. Like,
Well, he's not as bad. Yeah, with Kathleen
Yeah.
Kennedy. Yeah.
yeah.
I agree with that. We got DCB Titan here, sends in a Canadian $2 and says the Thundercats remake in the 2000s. Yeah, I think that was pretty popular from my memory. I just never saw it. Shinatsky sends in a $1.99, says my two cancellations are Forever Night and Nowhere Man. Oh yeah, Forever Night. That was the vampire show, wasn't
I
it?
remember Nowhere Man. It was fun. Great opening theme on that one.
I'm assuming it wasn't the Beatles. Alabama Wyatt sends in $2, says on Amazon, The Zone of Interest. Wow, never heard of that one. Jason Webster sends in a $5 Australian and says Godzilla -1 won Best Original Score, Fantasy Sci-Fi Horror Film at the International Film Music Critics Association Awards. Excellent. Well, I play cuts from that on Mead Radio, so I'm glad to hear it. The Inquisitive Gentleman sends in 5 and says, currently watching Hell on Wheels. Deadwood is next on my list. Looking forward to it. Oh, you will enjoy it, my friend. It is a excellent show. Probably one of the best Westerns ever. Master Clockwork sends in $2 as an oldie that didn't get proper finish. Sliders. Oh yeah, that was a good one from Fox. Or was that syndicated? I think it was on Fox where I was at anywhere. But
Yeah, it was a
I thought
Fox
Jerry
show, but it was
O'Connell,
also
yeah.
syndicated after.
Jerry O'Connell, right, was on that.
Jerry O'Connell. Oh, Mark Zickery was actually brought in, I think, around season 4 with a very small writer's room to fix the show because it was not performing well.
You know what that reminds me of also was when Jerry O'Connell was on My Secret Identity, the show he did before that.
Oh
Does
yeah,
anybody
with
else remember that?
Dr. Jeff Coat.
Yep. When he's younger. It was like it was in between Sliders and Stand By Me.
Yes, right after Stand By Me, then yeah, a good I think it was 4 years after that show ended, he did Sliders.
Yeah, he was a little older by then.
Because it ended when he was definitely a teenager. Because he was a really small kid when he started that show.
Yeah. Then Kitty Bear says Tom's Deadwood needs a little blue pill. No. It's fine just the way it is. That is an unwoke show if I ever fucking saw one. You got what's his face? I just forgot his name. The guy from he's in John Wick and stuff lately. But, McShane. Ian McShane just pontificating while getting a blowjob is some of the most amazing shit you've ever seen in your life. I'll tell you that right now. David March says in a member chat, says cancel too soon Carnival on HBO. That was one I always wanted to get to, but I never did. But yeah. The DCB Titan sends in 5 Canadian, says, wait, KK was involved with the Airbender movie? No wonder it was utter shit. Well, that and Shyamalan.
She was, yeah. Apparently she was the one who was pushing for the whitewashing.
I've never seen. I've heard that movie is complete dog shit.
It is known to be one of the worst movies ever made. Yeah, like it's up there from what I know.
Yeah, and it M. Night Shyamalan took a lot of flack for it.
Funny enough, I think that's the movie that killed his career for a while. Yeah, sorry, go ahead, Andre.
Yeah, it was Lady in the Water that really killed it, and then everything else.
Well, he was trying to make a studio picture, and that wasn't one of his pictures, and he failed at that too. That was my point. Because that was kind of KK giving probably a gimme. Because which one did he do first, though? I'm trying to remember. Maybe you're right.
I think he did Lady in the Water first.
I was gonna say I thought Airbender was his attempt to be like, okay, I'm not gonna do the Shamalama Ding Dong thing.
Yeah,
In fact, they didn't even advertise that he was a part of the movie. Yeah, this was him, KK giving him a job because of all the money he probably made her off of 6 Cents. Because yeah, don't forget that she also produced that.
Mm-hmm.
Big Daddy MRI sends in 1999, says I do miss Space Above and Beyond. That show was brilliant, as was Firefly. Makes me wonder, what in Hades were they thinking not keeping them running? Well, Firefly was notorious for being expensive, but just didn't quite have the ratings, correct?
It wouldn't have the ratings because Fox did not air them in the show's proper production order. So you had
that was it too. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, you had no idea how the show, like the first episode that actually introduced everything, was not properly aired. I don't think they jumbled it around so much that you had no idea how these relationships worked. But the advertising for the show is actually quite good. Like the trailers, the way that they presented it was great. And then when people watched it, they're like, yeah, we kind of like this, but it's a little confusing and something's not right. And then it wasn't until after the series was canceled that the hardcore fans started to realize, oh, the episode order wasn't properly debuted. That's why.
But the movie didn't do well either. So that.
Oh, the movie was going to bomb. Everybody knew it was going to bomb coming out.
But that just basically told the studio, see, we were right to cancel it.
Yeah.
In fact, we wasted all this money on a movie that nobody came to see.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way you got to remember those things. That's the way the studios look at it.
Yep.
That's breaking news. Live action Naruto movie is in the works at Lionsgate with Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings director, scriptwriter, Destin Daniel tapped to write and direct.
Of the Marvel, then.
Oh,
because remember, he's the guy who was supposed to direct the Kang Dynasty. Then he dropped out. He was also supposed to do Shang-Chi Part 2, with him doing that instead now. That's going to keep him occupied for the next 2-3 years? That does not bode well for Shang-Chi, does it, script?
I will destroy this.
Nope.
Daily.
Listen, Dustin, good for him for getting another job. I still think he's still got a ways to go before he can really set himself apart. So hopefully he can get some headway with this thing over at Lionsgate. But yeah,
I agree.
Dave Callahan is probably not coming back to write any more Marvel films either. So.
I think you could do a live action show if you treat it like One Piece and do it right. But a movie for these just doesn't work. Like a Dragon Ball movie doesn't work. They're too long. How do you can't condense all of that into a movie?
Well, I mean, all you have to do is cut the charging up in all those episodes of Dragon Ball, and you might be able to get the filler stuff. But yeah, like certain genres or certain adaptations of these anime do require a little bit more of a long form story format. So yeah, that would probably be your best bet. One Piece was a fluke though, because I have the very original draft that Netflix picked up, and it's really close to the final product. Like they were never going to do a disservice to this show to begin with. It just slipped under the radar, I would suspect, with regards to the same people that worked on the other shows that have botched them. But yeah, we'll have to see how faithful he'll be over there. And we'll have to see what sort of new direction.
How much control does the original creator have over his shit? Because like Oda had some kind of agreement where he had to approve things.
It all depends on what kind of contract they have.
Yeah. So
the way that I saw it is that Oda had approval of the pitch for the OWA, which is the open writing assignment. So the people that wrote the One Piece script that got picked up wrote it under the parameters of their pitch fit with what Oda wanted. So that's how they got away with it, is the fact that he was kind of already involved on it. The people that wrote the script that they greenlit was the one that was already closest in line to how we wanted this show to be done live action. Whereas I think for the Cowboy Bebop, they didn't even include him in that initial stage
at all.
So
but he was involved pretty heavily with the
final product.
Oda was involved he was involved with the casting and a lot of stuff. I don't know if they seem to have at least respected what he had to say.
Well, that or he must have some kind of ownership over it in a sense that,
maybe.
Like, it all depends on if it's owned by a studio, if they have ownership in it, or if it's a co-ownership.
Even if it was just them giving him the respect he deserves.
Right. It could even be that.
You would think that would be something that a lot of people would look at and say, well, okay, well, that worked for this. We should bring the original creators in and respect at least their advice.
Or at least fake it and then try to match it. Like, that's the other part too. Hollywood used to fake respect of creators all the time, but at the same time, they were like, we better not screw this up either. So even though we may not really respect them, we'll at least listen to what they have to say. And if it works, then we'll respect them. If it doesn't, okay, well then whatever. Like, that used to be the old school mentality. But now it's like, it's completely divisive, where they don't even bother to even earn that in some regards. And then in other regards, if they do it, it's usually by accident.
Yeah, somebody's saying in the chat he told them to do reshoots. and they apparently had to do it.
Well, then that
they
means he
didn't
may have some
willingly
kind of
want to do
ownership.
reshoots if he.
Well,
just
here's an
suggested
example.
it.
Like for years, MTV owned Beavis and Butthead lock, stock, and barrel, and they could do whatever the hell they want with it. And they did whatever they wanted to the point where they alienated Mike Judge, to where when they finally tried to work with him again, he's like, well, fuck you guys. Well, then they finally worked it out to where he has co-ownership now with MTV, and he can only do the voices and stuff like that basically now, or his approved people, I'm assuming. So basically, they can't really do anything without him anyway, even though they still co-own it. So that might be the situation with, the creator of One Piece, Odo, or whatever his name is, because he might have like a co-ownership with whatever company it is that he does it through, or he may have complete ownership. I have no idea what his, what the situation is with that. That's just an example, for instance. But like, Christian Garcia asks, is Matt Groening even involved in The Simpsons? Not really. He just gets checks. That's it. And I bet he's kicking himself in the ass because the whole reason he created The Simpsons was because Fox called him in and Tracy Ullman wanted to use Life in Hell as little interstitials in between the commercials. And he panicked that he thought, well, if they own my characters, then I can never do anything again with them if I want to. So he quickly created The Simpsons while he was in the waiting room. They're just his family. And lo and behold, that's the thing that he's most well known for. And he probably is could be a lot more rich had he never done that in the first place. But,
well, sometimes you never know when life
exactly.
Right. And it's like sometimes it's like the smallest, most insignificant of things. Like, for instance, you know that song from the Australian band Men at Work? Called Land Down Under, or just Down Under. You know how long that thing took to write? It was complete coincidence. Came together in 45 minutes.
Not surprised.
That's the best 45 minutes ever spent.
Yeah, there's a lot of songs like that. They're just throwaway songs. They end up being big, huge hits.
Yeah.
Like Jack and Diane from John Mellencamp. He never even wanted that to be a single, and that's his biggest.
Exactly. Speaking of huge hits, we're about to take one as Script Doctor, unfortunately, is leaving us.
But I just wanted to say before we move on there, Oda does own the full rights according to Mr. Tickle Trunk Yellow Flash. But anyway, what do you got going on Script?
I've got scripts on Saturdays tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern. CC Karaoke is my co-host this week, so look forward to that. And then I'm back in. I'm doing development work right now, so it's taking up a bunch of my time. But I will be popping around as my schedule opens up for it. But in the meantime, thanks for having me on today, guys, and have a wonderful weekend.
Thanks for being here, and have a great weekend. You as well.
Thanks. Take care, guys.
Take care.
Take care. So and then we got Copesy DePhil, who says he let the SS out the door and said he wants all of their games to be live service. He has no idea what to do with the games. He got lucky with Hogwarts. Is that what he's? Okay, so this is talking about the company. Are you talking about Warner Brothers or?
I think he's talking about Suicide Squad. He let Suicide Squad out the door and said he wants all of their games to be live service. He has no idea what to do with games. He got lucky with Hogwarts, which is last year's game.
That's not a live service game, though.
So
live service games are like they're multiplayer style games like Destiny, League of Legends, live service games only online.
Yeah, right.
Who said this though? Who's he?
I don't know.
Presumably, it's the guy in Warner who gave
something about this.
Call an earnings call, I should imagine.
Oh,
I don't think they can get their money, but they can't. They all think they can get that money. Like people are going to come to these and just dump money, and it's not.
Yeah, everyone is going to be the next Conan Exiles. It's so easy just to make another one, right? That's the mentality. And lo and behold, you suddenly have a couple of hundred of viewers online, and it costs you 100 million to get to that. That's the problem with those kinds of things. Only some things can be a live service game. Not everything can be that. Suicide Squad certainly can't.
They're saying Zaslav in the chat. Zaslav, he doesn't micromanage like that.
Yeah. Well, it was like some earnings call or something, so he may have said it there. I haven't had time to look into that in detail.
I haven't had a chance to listen to it, but Zaslav said he wants their games to be a live. Well, everybody wants their games on live service, but I guess I'm not understanding. Ace 1589 2001's been a member for 8 months. Thank you for that. Master Clockwork sends in 5 and says the moment the showrunners started talking about the changes to the last Airbender, it was DOA. I assume they were trying to get ahead of the complaints.
Probably. I mean, when they were talking about that, this is what I said before. One Piece wasn't out yet. So they were working under a very different set of assumptions. They were working under the same assumptions as when they were making that, what's that space thing, the one that came before, the one that failed, Cowboy Bebop. They were working under the same assumptions that Cowboy Bebop was made under. I'd kill that one. It's probably gonna not do any favors for the last Airbender either. So probably.
And Tennille's got one here for Yellow Flash before he has to head out. Forgive me for being predictable. I already know for Andre and Tom and Script Doctor, but Yellow Flash, are you familiar with 40K? And what's your opinion if so?
Looks cool, but I've never played it. I don't know a lot about it, which is why I don't really cover it. I just don't know anything about it. And it looks like a big, deep world, so I don't want to get in there and cover that and not get it right.
The scary thing about it is everyone gets really caught up in it. So if you go down that rabbit hole, you're never coming back out again, from what I understand.
Yeah, for that, I would direct you to like Heel versus Babyface or
Arch,
Takeda, Arch. Yeah. They cover all that and they know a lot about it.
There you go. But it sounds like Lil Flash might be waking up. So tell us what you got going on, Yellow Flash. I'm sure we'll be seeing you tomorrow night on the Flashcast.
Yeah, tomorrow we'll. I'm not sure what the topics are. Probably be talking about Vice and their downfall over on Flashcast. A lot of funny stuff to go over there. With Vice out of the way, I don't know where are people going to go to get their stories about how we should feel bad for child predators and stuff. I don't.
Mary Sue, I guess.
And Mary Sue.
I was about to say it's always the Mary Sue. They're going to get the spike in readership now.
Yeah, I want to piss on that fire a little bit with Vice. I was kind of made my day yesterday a little bit. Next one is Mary Sue. I want to see Mary Sue go down, Kotaku, and Polygon. Those are the 3 that I'm just really excited about.
I want to read the last few articles in the Mary Sue with the people complaining about what's going to happen to culture now. That would be fun. Because if you want to read some madness, always just head on over to the Mary Sue. Always reliable.
Yeah, they've always got something going on.
I'm sure we'll talk about some of them, the AI business and all that stuff too.
Yeah. All right, fellas. Well, you guys have a good.
Thanks for being here, brother.
Yeah, for sure, man.
All right. Have fun.
See you guys. See you.
Yeah. We got a few more super chats here. We got DCB Titan who says no because the end of Borderlands 3, Lilith dies. Spoilers. Maybe she's gone either way, and Roland dies in Borderlands 2. Well, makes you wonder how much they're actually going to follow the games, right?
Oh no, I can't enjoy Borderlands now.
Yeah.
Which I wasn't going to anyway, so it's fine.
No, but I mean, and this is kind of the tightrope they have to walk, right, in Hollywood. And I understand the mentality of it in some points, right? Like, because even when Disney bought Star Wars and there were some people that were upset they weren't just going to remake or adapt the extended universe novels, I'm like, well, I mean, that's a lot to get into for people, and it's already out there. Some people are going to want to put their own voice into some of these things, so I can understand that none of these things are going to be a 1-for-1, right? I think most people can generally understand that, right? Just the way it is. But you know, at the end of the day, your core base audience, especially for these game movies, are going to be gamers. So, I mean, you kind of have to find a way to make them adaptable for both. And that's where I think Sonic and Mario and Mortal Kombat, those kind of games, and the older stuff where you can kind of interpret things a little bit more into them compared to some of the newer stuff, which are almost like cinematic experiences in themselves already. That's going to get more
hours cinematic experience.
exactly. That's going to get a lot more difficult to adapt into something. I guess you know where I'm going with that. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No, because the point I would like to make for these newer games, they are so epic in story and scope that you're going to have to cut them down to 2-hour experiences. You're going to lose everything in the process.
Right. No, I mean, granted, Sonic and Mario have had, tons and tons of games, and the universe has expanded, as has the lore and all that stuff. But you got to imagine the guys sitting down trying to work out, or the many people that sat down and tried to work out like the original Mario Brothers movie, right? Because at that point they'd had like 2 games, one of which wasn't even technically a Mario game.
So you basically had 1 game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And very little to go on and that's why I give the Mario movie a lot of slack. And I know some people give it a lot of flack, but I'm like, no. You guys got to understand, when that movie came out, nobody knew what the fuck a Koopa Troopa was. Nobody knew who Bowser really was. I mean, we just had this game that people played. Sure, some people knew the names. You had you might have had the Saturday morning cartoon at that point, and that had been about it.
Kids knew, but the movie-going audience didn't.
Yeah, at that point, a movie-going audience was much bigger than a video game audience, to where now they're almost on like equal playing fields in some cases, but not. It's so different. You have like being a gamer is almost a lifestyle in and of itself now. Right? Because that's why Andre and I don't know about all these games. I mean, we've poked fun about the whole is it on the Sega Mega Drive thing, but let's be real. It's because, like Andre just said, to play some of these games, it's like 30 hours of your life.
And here's the thing. It's 30 hours if you're good.
If exactly. Not, like there's shit I'm still behind on because I played Red Dead Redemption 2. I'm not kidding. That many years ago, I fucked up. And I just went full bore into trying to finish that game that I got so far behind on work for this channel. There's still shit that I still haven't gotten done to this day because of that.
Yeah. And
I take full responsibility for it.
And like, for instance, with me, if I were to try Red Dead Redemption 2, if I were to try doing that and just beat that game, we could just shut down Midnight's Edge right away because I'd never be finished. I mean, just like I do with these 3D video games, I'd find myself a nice corner where I'd get stuck and I can't move out, because that's what happens with me in such 3D games. and for me then to start with that and be able to finish the whole thing, it's just not going to work.
You're like, where the hell am I?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, then you just give up. No, that's kind of where I had to kind of detour from playing games and being any sort of gaming type at all. It's really just because I had to sacrifice it for this channel, guys. Totally honestly, that's really what it was. So Copesy DePhil sends in another tenant, says the tune and humor in the Borderlines movie is completely off. It's not supposed to be Guardians or Suicide Squad, and Lilith is mid-20s and hot, and Roland is a 6'2" masculine black man and not Kevin Hart in the games. Yeah, from my understanding, from what like Comics Division was going off last night on his show, and CC Karaoke was saying on Midnight's Edge After Dark last night, that's my understanding, but I have no frame of reference. And I mean, I can see where Eli Roth is coming at this, and that's where I've said, I bet you he's never really played the game.
What black men need to understand is that after white men, they're next.
Oh, they already know that. And gay men are after that, and they already know that too. Trust me. I've had a few conversations. Chaos Sonic 1 sends with $2. I'm describing Sushi Squad's fail representation. I think it means representation. Sushi Squad. Oh, you mean the new? Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. Sonic times 2 sends in 5 and says, wait up, Midnight said, did you hear Luke Cage controversy? Which was he fought more black villains than white, and there's not enough white villains? Maybe in Luke Cage.
Well, that's what he's saying. I missed that one. I'm sure it was real,
I did
but
too.
I didn't see it. I was happy enough not to have caught that. But yeah, do not doubt it happened. And it
I
was
mean,
probably initiated by white people.
I mean, that was kind of the whole thing when I was growing up, especially in leading into the 90s with the PC era. That's when I noticed they had this big thing about it went from, we can't have black people or Hispanic people be portrayed as any sort of street villain or thug or anything like that. And we got to stay away from Italians being viewed as like mafia types and all that kind of stuff. And then it went from, well, you can't exactly have certain nations being seen as um like terrorists and stuff. So then you just got kind of like nondescript terrorists for a while there, and then it's all of a sudden it's okay, we can have
Yeah.
Russians and white people.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's how in that's how in like that episode of the animated Transformers season 3 or 4, instead of Libya, you have the proud oil nation of Carbombia.
Carbombia.
Yeah, for real.
That's
It was
almost
a
like
great
too on the
episode.
fucking nose, man. Holy shit.
Yeah, no, for real. It's a great episode. It's the best episode of the entire series. Yeah. No, they went to the oil nation of Carbombia and worked with the local dictator Gaddafi or something like that because they needed oil to make energon from.
Yeah.
It was a great episode.
Well, and I would imagine part of this is fed into it because, especially more in the last 20 to 30 years, because they probably have had more and more black writers on the project and they just created more and more black villain characters, more or less, would be my guess.
Well, yeah,
Who was it?
obviously, the good writers are good writers, no matter where they come from or the color of their skin, and they're going to create good, relatable villains and realistic characters. And you know what? Sometimes when you have a black character living in a black environment, he's gonna have some black villains around him. And the villains in Luke Cage, they were for the most part pretty darn good.
Yeah. And in that case, they're not probably even thinking about it. They're just writing characters, like you just said. But on the other side of it, white writers and artists had to constantly worry about that kind of shit. See, and that stuff started way back when already. Sonic times two sends in another 5 and says, any truth to the rumor that Jessica Jones will be in Daredevil Born Again? I heard a rumbling about that, but we'll have to wait and see. They might
probably because they've like the change that they have done is that initially what they said was that the Netflix series, that was their own universe, and they're going to do something completely and totally different. What we have seen before are variants in a different universe, so we're just going to see characters that look the same but that have wildly different lifestyles or lives. Kevin Feige was very proud about that. This was Marvel's Daredevil. It was going to be so different. And then they filmed half of it and it was horrible. And then they did a 180, and now the Netflix series are practically canon. They brought back a bunch of characters that from the Netflix series that weren't there before. I would not be surprised if Jessica Jones was brought back with them. I don't know that is the case, but I would not be surprised if that was the case and if she's back. So color me unsurprised if that's true.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all. HyperGyver 2 says with $5, Metallica was at its best when it was still had Dave Mustaine material to ape off of. That's true too.
Yeah,
I've always been a Megadeth guy myself, so yeah.
That's exactly the point that I made. That Dave Mustaine, that he was one of the driving creative forces in Metallica, and maybe that was the problem. Maybe he was too good, and maybe he was a threat to the others. Maybe that was part of why they were so happy to oust him. And the proof is in the pudding. When he was kicked out of Metallica, we got Megadeth, and that's my I'm not going to say it's my issue with Ace, because I have nothing with Ace Frehley in KISS. Just to get back to that, I have no issue with him. I have no personal animosity. I wish him well. I just merely observed that when he was kicked out of KISS, he didn't make an equivalent of Megadeth. He didn't kickstart a really vibrant solo career that at times rivaled that of KISS, like Dave Mustaine did with Megadeth.
Yeah, I understand your point there.
Yeah.
I mean, in a way, Ace did have a bit more success here in the U.S. probably than what you saw over there. But yeah, I get what you're saying. because he did get a lot of support on MTV and other places. So
yeah, he got a lot of people wanted to support him, and I get that, but he just wasn't able to do it. And part of that, I think, was due to his own demons and the own things that made him impossible to work with, made it impossible for him to work with himself, which is unfortunate.
probably, which is funny because, like, I mean, of all the members of KISS, my dad knows probably Ace Frehley is the only one he probably knows by name, and he's seen him in concert back in the day when they were in their height. So yeah,
that's one thing that I regret. For all of the farewell tours that KISS has been on, and all the times they've even been in Norway, I've never seen them.
but I was just saying that to kind of tell you the impact that he had in the US compared to, like, I mean, KISS to most people were just nameless, faceless, well, masked people, right? I know all their names, but my dad probably couldn't name them, and he grew up and went to the concerts and was around during their height. And again, like I said, the only one he could name would be Ace Frehley.
Yeah.
And that's just because of his solo stuff in New York Groove and stuff like that. But anyway, Nikki Vick sends in 5 and says, Talking Heroes Rogue Galleries, Batman and Dick Tracy crossover. Oh, that would be fucking amazing balls. I bet you Script Doctor wishes he was here for this question, but yeah. But you know what? That'll never happen. 2 different comic companies, and until he dies, I don't think Warren Beatty's going to let those rights go.
Warren Beatty would be the problem, though. But here's the funny thing: in comics, wilder stuff.
You could probably do it. Yeah, that'd be easier to get a crossover.
I mean, you have had Batman cross over with, let's see, top of my head, Alien, Predator,
Ninja Turtles,
Judge Dredd,
Ghostbusters
3 times. You've had Wonder Woman crossover with Conan the Barbarian.
Oh yeah, the comic version definitely more likely. Definitely.
Yeah,
in fact, I would be surprised they haven't already, to be honest with you.
Yeah, in comics that can happen. On the big screen, yeah, that'll be the day.
Honestly, what I would love more than anything would be, like, you know how they did when Adam West was getting really old there? They did those pair of animated 60s Batman.
Yeah, the one with William Shatner as Two-Face and stuff like that.
Yes, Two-Face. Yes, they should do that in that style as the 60s Batman meets old school Dick Tracy.
That would be awesome. I'd watch
that. Would be that. Yeah, and Batman and Dick have to work together. Yeah. That'd be great. What's your first thought? Says Critical Drinker just dropped his trailer for Rogue Elements. Looks like fun, action-packed spy thriller. Yeah, I caught it in the background here. Didn't really get a chance to check it out.
We have to get back to that. Haven't had the chance to see it.
Copsy DePhil sends in 5 and says, Steve Rogers to me was the heart of the MCU. He is the sole leader of the Avengers. I want to see him and Logan together talk about their past in World War II. Well, Disney would never allow that for, I don't know, 100 million fucking reasons I could think of, both, most of all, because they're male and white. And they're talking about war.
Well, we'll see how desperate they get. We'll see what happens in the shareholder meeting.
I agree with you, though, Copsy. And I mean, the first Avenger, as it's called outside the U.S., in most places, I guess, but Captain America, the first Avenger, as it's called here, I mean, is one of the most undersung Marvel films, in my opinion. Joe Johnston knocked it out of the park with that film. It's a great fucking film. And I think Chris Evans was well cast, even though his politics are batshit crazy again. But no, he's got done dirty. I've said it time and time again. How long have I been saying it, Andre? We need the story about him putting back the stones, for instance.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's a whole 40 some plus years you could probably play with there with Chris Evans as Captain America throughout time.
Totally.
But that's not a series or a movie they'd give us. That's what they should be reshooting for Captain America 4. Kitty Bear sends in €2 and says, Tom doesn't want to resurrect Deadwood. Well, when you said Blue Pill, I thought you meant turn it Democratic. I'm like, hell no, that show's fucking based as fuck. It's so based. God dang, is it based? Yeah, I think you'd enjoy that.
I do believe that particular train may have left the station anyway. So, yeah.
Oh, God, yeah. No. Like I said, the show's done. The creator, I believe, passed away. And, he had cancer when they were making the movie. I'm trying to remember the guy's name now. If Script was here, he'd remember who I'm talking about. But you should check that show out. It's only 3 seasons. So it's not like it's not consumable, plus the movie. So it's actually pretty consumable. And a lot of the stories do get tied up. So it's not like it's left hanging. But anyway, Great cast too. You got Ian McShane, Timothy Oliphant, stuff like that. I think Michael Shannon was in there too, if I'm not mistaken. Tennille says Zasloff is a family friend. He worked together with my dad when they were both still at NBC. I can say without hyperbole that his gaming experience is less recent than Andre's. No offense. Yeah, so I'm not trying to. He's just probably reiterating whatever people in the gaming departments are telling him to say.
Absolutely. Like Zasloff knows nothing about that. There, he relies on what his advisors are telling him. He knows nothing about that area.
Absolutely, that's my point. Yeah, from what I know and from what you've told me, Tennille, and stuff, and from what I've heard from others, yeah. Then 6 is coming in hot, gifting 5 memberships for the member stream and upping to the Crom level. Crom smiled upon her today.
Fantastic.
Yes, indeed. And then we got Emilio, who gifted 5 memberships as well. Thank you so much. So yes, join us Sunday, members.
Yes, join us. I'm going to set up a panel before the show, before the live stream starts. If you've never been on because on this member stream, you'll have the opportunity to be on the panel with Tom and Andre. And so if anybody wants to practice, if you've never been on a live stream, if you've never been on a panel, I will help you set up, get your mic going, your camera going if you want, making sure everything's good to go before the live stream starts. I'll be very gentle. I'll hold your hand through the process. It's a lot of fun to be. I remember my first live stream. It was a kick. So I highly encourage the members to show up for that. And I believe it's going to be around the same time as the morning show.
Regular show time, yeah.
Okay.
On Sunday.
Cool.
So yes, we'll see you here 11 Central, members. We'll send out the link through the community tab and through Patreon, and it'll be open to all of our Midnight's Edge and Midnight's Edge After Dark and Patreon members, of course. So please join us on Sunday for our long overdue member stream, where you get to come in and ask us a question or bring up a topic for us to talk about for a few minutes. And yes, 6 does the thankless job of helping you guys come in and not blow up everybody's ears and or for make sure we can hear you, etc., which I know takes a lot of our time on the member streams, and we appreciate it because it does help things roll smoother.
Yeah, you don't need a camera, but you do need a set of earbuds. You can get them for like $12 at Target.
In some cases, even cheaper at like your dollar store, you can get them.
Yeah.
And the ones you use for your phone usually will work.
Yeah. Just keep in mind, a lot of times those have a built-in mic, so be mindful of where the mic is. So that's the other thing. But anyway, that stuff we can all cover on Sunday, and 6 will cover with you in the background if you need her help. And with that, Pilgrim Media sends in $2, says, Andre, I saw KISS the year after Mike Douglas.
Oh, cool. Nice.
Yeah. I never did get a chance to see him, unfortunately. Tommy Reviews has become a member. Thank you so very much, Tommy Reviews. We appreciate that here at the channel. And with that, we have caught up, I believe, and we are ready for some wet koalas.
We are indeed. Everyone, thanks for watching. Be sure to check in later. We have another video dropping. We have more coming over the weekend. And for now, it is time for some koalas in the rain.
Indeed. We got that one. Yep. Where's my... Oh, I moved it.
Koalas in the rain, koalas in the rain, no fucks given. Koala, koala, koalas in the rain, koalas in the rain, no fucks given. Koala, koala, koalas in the rain.